Okay, I think we're live. Hold on a second. It's actually 1 o'clock, right on the nose. It is 1 o'clock, 7/20/2025. So we are cruising right through the month of July. Unfortunately, good to see everybody. Paula's here. Hey, Paula, how are you? Good to see you. Gail is here. Hey, Gail, how are you? Good to see Gail. Hope you're well. We got Tracy in the house. Good to see Tracy. Um, uh, It's good to see Gail. Haven't seen Gail in a while. Hope Gail's feeling okay. Anyways, we're gonna go over the true crime cases of the week this week. Elosa one is here. Uh, Elosa one, which is that word backwards. One is here. Good to see you. Gonna go over the true crime cases of the week. Do want to go over a few of the events that have been happening around here in New England. There's a few missing person cases that I've. Hey, Carol's here too. Good to see Carol. Mino Dino's here. Good to see everybody here in the chat. But I did post a few missing person on my community post. The Canadians here. Good to see Sweet Dude Chibi here. Good to see everybody. So I'm going to try to go over those a little bit. I just posted another one actually. But good to see everybody. I'll play Feeling a Bit Better. Thank you, doctor. Change some meds. Okay. Also I have Heather Brown is here. Thank you, Heather Brown, for coming in. I have her GoFundMe thing scrolling across the bottom here. Skits is here. Good to see Skits. Electric Rare Cat is here. Good to see everybody. This is Heather's GoFundMe here. Heather's not feeling all that great, so we got a GoFundMe account up here for her. I think Kira did that. So thanks to her. She's right on the ball with this. So, anyways, I'm going to play an intro, and I'll be right back. We'll get into a lot of wacky cases this week. So we'll get into some of those. And get going here. Let me play my intro, and I'll try to be right back. Good to see everybody. Okay, so that's the end of that crap. Honeybee's here. Look, Honeybee's right here. She just came in. There's Honeybee right there. Which email, Paula? Yes, I did. I got a few of them. Anyways, yes, we love Heather. Heather's here. We got a lot of great content creators here in the chat. We got Honeybee's in here. Honeybee's amazing. Arguably one of the greatest people on the planet. We have who else is in here? We got Skits is in here too. Skits has got a great channel. We all know that. Let's see here. Who else is in here? Paula in here. Paula reached 1,000 subscribers a couple weeks ago. That's good news. Paula's awesome. Paula's amazing. Who else? So feel free to throw your links in here so people can subscribe to you. Beasley's in here. Good to see Beasley. Good to see everybody. It's been a pretty solid week. A lot of shit done around here. The yard's cleaned. Mowed the lawn again for the 6,000th time. But anyways, we're gonna get into some of this stuff here that's going on. I just don't know where to start. Where the hell do we start? There's so many things going on. I guess I could start. Let's see here. Did they catch this guy or not yet? Hold on a second. Let me see here. Where do we start? We'll start with there's just too many cases. Let's see here. We will start. Did we do that last week? Hold on a second. Start here. I don't know if this guy's been caught yet or not, but I think he was. Hold on 2 seconds here. 2 seconds here. I think they caught this guy. I'm not sure here, but we'll play this one here. We'll see. Because I want to get into the paddle border here. So let's share this. But I'm pretty sure they caught this guy already. Let me hold on a second. You sent me an update about the guy at Mount Washington. They were searching for this guy here. This is local here, I think. Remain vigilant. Search continues for Dover Foxcroft for a man considered dangerous. But I think they got this guy. But we'll start here anyways. This is coming out of Maine, I think, here. Law enforcement at Dover Foxcroft began to search Friday night for a man they believe is armed and dangerous, but I'm pretty sure they got this guy, but we'll play this anyways.
Thanks, Aaron. The search continues in Dover Foxcroft for a man police say is armed and dangerous. Ryan Moorside was reportedly last seen on West Main Street near the Irving gas station. Officials have been looking for Moorside since last night. Our crew on scene reported seeing more than a dozen law enforcement officers aiding in the search yesterday. Officials say the shelter in place is loosened at this time. The Dover Foxcroft police chief says this means to stay home if possible as they continue to search for Moorside.
The message to the community is to, again, stay vigilant, be aware of your surroundings, and contact us if you know of anything or if you see Mr. Moorside.
Police say you should not approach Moorside if you see him. If you have any information on where he may be, you're asked to call the Piscataquis County Dispatch Center at 564-3304. We'll continue to keep you updated on our website as we learn more.
All right, so they did catch this guy. So let's I just found it. Hold on a second. I think they just caught this guy actually. So let me stop sharing this. It's so funny because I have a list of things that I want to do and I got them all set up, but then I sidetrack as soon as I get live. It's really weird. But Hit and Run Roadkill Diner. We have one of those up here too, I think. All right, so they did catch this guy. Dover Foxcroft manhunt ends with the arrest after shelter in place on Friday. So this is pretty serious up there on Friday. A lot of shit going on in Maine lately.
Incident that happened earlier in the day. News Center Maine's Drew Peters takes us to Dover Foxcroft with more details about his arrest.
Following a multi-day police search throughout Dover Foxcroft, a man considered armed and dangerous is now in custody.
The incident that led to this was a fairly violent incident in terms of the actions that this individual took.
Dover Foxcroft Police Chief Seth Burns says Friday's search centered around 1021 West Main Street, where they say 36-year-old Ryan Moorside was last spotted. Today, Chief Burns says their search cast a much wider net.
He has been known to been involved in incidents around the area. with other police departments.
Agencies like the Piscataquis County Sheriff's Office and Maine State Police provide support by helping look through leads and use other investigative tools during the manhunt.
I have never seen that many police officers ever. I kid you not, last night when I came through, probably close to 50 cruisers and a SWAT truck.
Dover Foxcroft resident Damon Jennings says seeing so many police officers is very rare in his small town. And fellow residents Elaine and Blaine Burho, who live just miles away from the area Moorside had last been spotted, say they were also on high alert over the past 2 days due to the uncertainty of the situation.
When we went to bed, I said, we're locking up, and go get your gun. So that was my feeling. I wanted to be safe.
They say they're shocked to see something like this happen so close to home, but seeing how fast police responded was comforting.
Leave me here alone and go get your gun. That's so funny.
It was amazing seeing the amount of presence that they had in this town.
I just want to be safe and my neighbors to be safe.
Dover Foxcroft police say they were able to apprehend Moorside with.
Oh, absolutely, Heather. I have no problem doing that. Heather's an amazing person, just great people. Do the best we can to help our friend out for sure. It's always good to see Gail in here, though. I hope, like I said, I hope Gail's feeling better. Good thing she's on different meds here. Hopefully that works. I would have just stayed on my bed watching the news coverage. All right, so finish this up here. Actually, hold on a second. Let me go here to give people an idea of where the hell this is. Whoops, right here. So this is right here. Dover Foxcroft is basically right in the middle of the state. It's literally in no man's land here. So it's this is where they were here. All right, so let me finish this up here, then we'll move on to something else here. Hold on 1 second here. You know a friend that eats possums and raccoons? Yikes. I'd probably eat a raccoon before I eat a possum, but I know one thing, possums are good for ticks. So if you got ticks, get a possum.
Without incident or injury. In Dover Foxcroft, Drew Peters, News Center, Maine.
The Dover Foxcroft Police Department says it will release more information about the search later today.
Okay, so that's that. Let me see here. Let me get out of this here. I do want to play one more thing before we get into what was this one here? The paddleboarder. Give me a second here. Here. Actually, I want to do this first because I have all of the information up for this here. So I do want to get into this case, then I'll double back to the other stuff. All right, so because I was just reviewing this case here, and I do want to we've done this case a few times anyways. This is the case of Eliza Sherman here. And I do have the indictment up right now for her. So we'll do this first. So back in 2013, this lady here, Eliza, I don't know if you guys remember this case. We covered this case a few times. And this skit has our good friend Gazella on it. But this is Vinnie Pollard investigating the unaliving death of Eliza Sherman, who's former divorce attorney. Gregory Moore has been charged with her unaliving, which is really shocking because I think everybody on the planet thought it was her husband. But this is kind of strange because turns out I think it's her. Gisela's on here, and I think one of her friends is on here, and I have the indictment pulled up here from. So we'll play this first, and then I'll double back to the other stuff since I have it up. So here's this. This is an interview with Gazella and I think one of Eliza Sherman's good friends. So here we go.
Broad daylight in a case that went unsolved for more than a decade. Here's the story. Eliza Sherman, a beloved 53-year-old Cleveland Clinic nurse and mother of 4.
Does anybody know about this case here? Had fluid drained again, no fun. Heart doc said it was my heart. He's got me on meds to get rid of fluid, took me off all my blood pressure medication. 77.45. Is that bad? That's bad. Oh, you poor thing. Do they know what it is? What's going on with that? Well, I'm glad you're here, Gail. It's always good to see you.
Was ambushed in broad daylight on March 24th, 2013.
So this lady was in a bitter divorce battle with her husband, and I think she was supposed to meet up with a divorce attorney. I got the indictment pulled up anyway, so we'll read that shortly here.
Waiting outside her divorce attorney's office downtown, she was viciously stabbed over 10 times, with her body left bleeding on a public sidewalk. No signs of robbery, just pure, calculated violence. Her desperate 911 call echoed through the city as passersby rushed to her aid. The case grew cold, mired in sorrow and unanswered questions. Vigils and flower-strewn memorials.
I thought they were supposed to have some sort of another benefit for you tonight, Heather. I know what is wrong with people, right? This is an interesting interview with the friend because the friend still thinks that there's somebody else involved, right?
Kept her memory alive.
It's hard for me to believe that the husband here isn't involved, but
now, 12 years later, a stunning breakthrough. Investigators arrested her former divorce attorney.
Her own divorce attorney. Like, what are the odds of that happening?
Gregory Moore. Accused of orchestrating the murder, Moore is now indicted on aggravated murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, and even 6 counts of murder. Decades of silence shattered by a single arrest, offering the hope of justice long denied. It has been way too long for justice for Eliza Sherman and her family. This case, there are so many things that.
Who's this? This is the Forgotten Artist. It's in here. Good to see you. Did she get the divorce? Yeah, she got the divorce. All right. She got more than the divorce. She got divorced for her life, the rest of her life. Yeah, this is really one of those done it for sure, but her own divorce attorney, that just doesn't make any sense.
That make very little sense and are extremely unusual, including the passage of time and now the arrest.
Anyway, we get to see Gazella, so that
the arrest of her divorce attorney? A man she hired to represent her interests in the breakup of her long marriage to Dr. Sanford Sherman. Her divorce attorney is the one accused.
Is that JP or is that Charlie Manson? Trying to figure that out. Good to see Dino in here. Is Dino in here? I might have missed Dino. Yep, there he is. Dino's in here. Oh, it is JP. Is it JP? Good to see JP. Yes, he only owns one shirt, and he's a lot shorter than I thought he was.
Accused of her murder? Stunning development in all of this. He was on the radar, though. He's been on the radar for years. Something else about this case that, like, the killer is caught on video. Here it is. This is the killer fleeing the scene. 2013, they had security cameras. Here's a close.
You would think that they'd invest more in better cameras, right? Like this, what is it, 2025? And we're still having issues with cameras. I mean, there's cameras everywhere. There's one there. There's one catching this guy walking. I mean, this is a pretty important business district here. So you think that they would have you know, really high resolution cameras here. They just don't.
Closer look.
I mean, you just can't. You can't tell in this. You just can't. There's obviously his. I don't know. It's just. Ugh.
That's approaching the camera. And then you see the backside, so you can see, you know, if you look at how high everything is on the wall there, how tall the killer may be, there's things that you can do to try to get some level of a profile here.
Jocelyn's here? Where's Jocelyn? Jocelyn, there she is. Hi, Jocelyn. How are you? Good to see you. It's always good to see Jocelyn here. Hope you're well. I know, right? My home visit nurse and home visit physical therapist were freaking out. So did Heart Doc out of my primary. Had me on 2 BP and had taken me off 1. Okay. Boy, that sucks, Kale. I wonder, do they know what it is though?
Here, you can look at the way the person.
I mean, you can't tell by this anyways. You might be able to get some sort of a height with these letters here.
Person walks. So Gregory Moore, her attorney, is arrested. That was just video of the killer. So that brings us to the first question in our investigation. Is this video showing Gregory
I
Moore?
love this guy. I do like Vinny. I'm sorry. It's just too funny.
Is that him in the video? Is that the now accused murderer in the video? Here to help answer that question, creator and host of Grizzly True Crime on YouTube, Gisela Kay is with us, and Maria Zool, friend of Eliza Sherman, is with us as well.
Look at this Gisela Kay. She's hit the big time. It's so cool. She's such a great person. I love her to death. She's amazing.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Maria, let me just start with, before we even get to that video, your thoughts about finally an arrest in the case the murder of.
It's always good to see Jocelyn here. I haven't seen Jocelyn for a few weeks. Hope she's doing well. It is summertime though, so I'm pretty sure people are all doing other shit than paying attention to my crap here. But it's always good to see Jocelyn. Yeah, G, right? She's awesome. Yes, the gate means everything, right? But the indictment is pretty. I'll bring that up in a minute on this guy here.
Your friend Eliza.
Yeah, we've waited a long time, and I was always suspicious of the lawyer because he wasn't there when he was texting.
Yeah, I don't think GH is allowed on this program anymore, to be honest with you.
Her that he was saying that he was there, and he didn't make any kind of statement after she was brutally murdered. So it didn't make sense to me that, you know, your client is murdered outside your office and you don't say, you don't make any kind of statement.
Hey, Doms, good to see you. So did you take down your channel again, buddy? I'm not sure because anyways, good to see Dom's in here. You had to. All right, well, let me know if you need another wrench. Don't forget to throw your Tracy's in here too. There's Tracy right there. It's always good to see Tracy in here. Tracy's amazing.
Statement like, my God, I'm devastated. We got to find who did this. So to me,
You
that
would think that lawyers would be smarter than this, right? I mean, you would think that lawyers would probably be the last people doing this, or at least make it so that they get away with it. You know, they're lawyers. For God's sakes.
was
I mean, that kind of looks like the build, right? You would think. I'd have to isolate that that person walking.
bizarre. That's a red flag for me.
Absolutely bizarre. Another one of the strange circumstances in all this. Okay, Gisela, I know you've looked at this video many, many, many times. I have as well throughout the years. Do you think that is Greg Moore? Because he's charged with murder. He's also charged with some level of conspiracy. Do you think that even looks like a man walking?
My heart, I have. May need another. Been sick 10 months. Oh my God, you poor thing. Oh, I feel so bad. Um, but that does suck. It's good to see you though.
Obviously, that's speculative, but my gut tells me that it's very, very plausibly him, even though obviously wearing a hoodie and wearing gloves, and we can't see the person's face. So we don't know their race, their age,
No, that's, these tiles are pretty big tiles here.
their gender.
Whoever it is knows there's cameras here because they've dressed up pretty good. So they must know that there's cameras here, and they've taken the precautions of making sure that nobody can see their face.
Or anything. The coat is looking oversized. We don't even know if they're running
That almost looks like a woman's gait, doesn't it? Doesn't that, the way the arm's moving there? What guy walks like that?
with that free right hand, if that would be their dominant hand or
That's
not. So there's a lot we don't know. But then on the other side of things, we know so much about what Gregory Moore was up to that day now, just based on his cell phone data, that
who walks like that with the arm? Is that maybe fake? Do you think they're faking that?
I just think it's very, very likely him. If not him, then who else?
Well, let's take a look. We've got some video of Gregory Moore walking, because that's the clue we have, right? The clue that's been revealed. And I don't know if there's anything unusual about his walk. Maria, obviously for years you watched that video. Do you think that video could be Gregory Moore as we watch him walk here?
I really,
It's hard to watch him walk normally because he's got his arm being held here by this guy, and he's got a huge briefcase in the other hand. So, I mean, the height looks good.
thought it was someone who was hired, someone else. I never thought it was him. Though, now, I guess it could be now that I'm thinking about it. To me, the person also who was running, the person who did the killing, the way they were holding their arm, it looked like maybe the knife was in their arm, in their clothing, and they couldn't move that one arm. I don't know. And then who picked up the killer? Because from what I understand, the trail stopped at a certain point, and who was there to, pick the person up?
Yeah, that's weird. That's a weird walk right there. I'm going to back this up. I'm going to have to try to isolate this or clip this at some point, because this, from behind.
Because from what I understand, the trail
I can probably slow that down.
stopped at a certain point, and who was there to?
This is weird. This arm here is weird. I wonder if the person's doing that on purpose. Maybe to, But see that's like just weird. Almost looks like he's drunk. This person almost looks like they're drunk. They're just kind of staggering here to last. Anyways,
pick the person up and get them out of there.
And as you say that, Maria, that makes so much sense. And Gisela, that makes some sense too, that there could be two involved here, whether he is or is not the killer. Whoever the killer is would have to get out of downtown Cleveland.
Yeah, I wonder who would work with him on this, and especially on a Sunday, and knowing that Elisa would be outside the building, because this was a Sunday when he lured her to his law officer. So the timing of all of that would be very interesting as
all right, so let's hold on a second. I want to, I'll bring you guys with me to do this, because this is, so this is the I'm assuming this is the indictment here. The scheme to telecommunications device and all. So that's all of this stuff here. But so here's on Sunday, March 24th, 2013, Gregory Moore performed the following substantial overt acts in furtherance of the scheme to kidnap. So he was there to kidnap her. At approximately 2:31 p.m., Moore texted Sherman to meet him at the office at 4:30 p.m. and requested that Sherman, can anybody see this? I can blow this up here. Whoops. So no, she was leaving for the meeting. I requested that Sherman let him know when she was, he texted her to let him know when she was leaving for the meeting. At approximately 3:54 p.m., Sherman texted Moore saying she was leaving for the meeting and would be, so that went smoothly. Moore responded to that text with one that said, "Take time, closer to 5." So he said basically he's running late. Sherman texted her that she left and asked Moore, "I left, we'll wait. Call me when you get there." These messages caused Eliza Sherman to drive from her home in Birchwood, Ohio to, I'll have to break this down, Erie View Plaza in downtown Cleveland and wait outside. So to wait there after hours for a meeting that Moore never intended to have. Unbeknownst to Sherman, Moore arrived at the Stafford law office and used his electronic access to swipe the front door. So they have that. After Moore swiped his electronic access, he either did not enter the building or entered the building and then left prior to 4:07. From at least 4:07 p.m. until after 7:30, Moore was not inside the office building. So at approximately 4:15, Moore called Sherman but did not speak to her and did not call back again. At approximately 4:19, Sherman texted Moore saying, "Sorry, couldn't get phone. Got here quicker than I thought. Let me know where you are." Moore did not communicate with Sherman again until after 5:11. So we'll go over more of that later. Let's get back to this here. Hold on a second here. It's always really cool to read the indictments because here we go here.
As well. For those who don't know, he's 5'9". So I don't know if that will help for people analyzing the footage to know could that be him or not. I think that could help rule it out as well. But whoever that was, there's cameras all over the place. It's a Sunday, broad daylight as well. I mean, later in the afternoon, 5 p.m.-ish, 5:05. But to commit a crime like this is also pretty dumb. So to me, all roads lead still to Gregory Moore.
Maria, from Eliza, for her, did she ever talk about Gregory Moore, her lawyer? Did she ever talk about him with you?
No, I didn't really. No. There was an incident where her husband, she thought, did something with the cat that she was taking care of, and I took her to the police station, and she couldn't find the cat, and then the next day, the cat appeared.
All right, so hold on, give me 2 seconds here. Running like a gal that needs to go to the bathroom. Right. That's what I said, especially from the back. It looks weird from the back. So this is the, this kind of looks like where this is all taking place is in this, this is, apparently this is the Stafford law office is here. I'll have to get exactly where this is, but it seems like this is where it was. It right in this little. Oh, hold on a second. Back one. Right in here, right? It It was a Sunday, so I'm just thinking that whoever did this obviously knows that there's cameras there, so that's probably why they wore clothing like that to kind of, make it so that they wouldn't be seen. All right, so let's go back to this here.
I guess her lawyer called her then. That's about all I really knew with the lawyer.
Okay,
like
yeah,
nothing,
that
really.
makes sense. I mean, that's something that you might not share. I didn't know if she got a strange vibe from him at all. But Gisela, when we look at the timing of it all,
Okay, buddy, give me 2 seconds.
it was unusual for this meeting on a Sunday. I know that the trial was coming up. The divorce trial was coming up, but they had met on Saturday, the day before. So it wasn't expected that she would come back on Sunday.
Right. And I mean, if you just look at his history, at the lengths that he would go to try to delay trials, I can understand why they charged this guy with this, even based on the evidence they have. It sounds bizarre. I don't know how they're going to present this to a jury, that a divorce attorney could commit murder or conspire.
All right, let me know if that worked. Don't forget, if you guys have channels or know people who have channels, feel free to throw them in the chat. Yeah, Grizzly's awesome.
To commit murder just to delay a trial. But knowing his past and things he was convicted of, it's so possible. And to lure her there on a Sunday.
I go all the way back with her. I go all the way back. Like, I think she had like maybe 1,000 followers when I first started to follow her. And now she's at like 500,000 or something like this. Crazy.
Under false pretenses that, listen, this trial is going to start tomorrow. We have to meet. It's very urgent. And then to allegedly do this it's really, what a betrayal of trust.
Yeah, Eliza is in a very vulnerable position at this time, right? She's going through this difficult time. You're getting ready for the trial, which is never comfortable for anyone.
Also, Skits is in here somewhere. Dirty Diana's here. Hey, Diana, how are you? Good to see you. Another channel I really like to promote is JC Ann. JC Ann's amazing. Doodlebug is great. But Skits is in here somewhere soon, and hopefully she starts her channel up again pretty soon. But Diana's in here too. Dirty Diana. I was on there this morning. Some reason I wasn't feeling all that great this morning, so I just went right to bed. But feel free to throw your channels in here. We promote all the channels we can, so feel free to do that.
And you rely upon your attorney to help guide you through it, both legally and emotionally. For family law attorneys, it is not easy work because there's so much emotion infused into the litigation, which doesn't always exist in all cases. And in this case, it is. So you rely on your lawyer for a lot. And what prosecutors are saying here is that it's an extreme broken trust. Maria, what does your gut tell you?
Amy G too. Amy G's got a great channel.
About whether there is someone else potentially involved here.
Well, she's charged with co-conspiracy, so isn't that what, when someone else is involved?
I think that's what I had this morning as a migraine, so I just kind of went right to bed. I caught a little of Dirty Diana's channel, but
I mean, I just don't think he did this on his own. Someone had to be there to pick.
it was 90 all week here for most of the week, and then Thursday to Friday it got really dry, and that's probably what knocked some people back a little bit, because it was actually fairly cool here yesterday.
Pick him up I mean, he just disappeared. The trail just disappeared from what I understand at one point, you know. So
Thank you so much, Heather, for throwing all these channels in here. I know that Jocelyn's, you still got a channel, Jocelyn? Because Chuck's here. Where's Charles? There's Charles right there.
no, I believe someone else is involved.
And Gisela, when we
So she seems to think there's somebody else involved. I think she's basically not saying it 100%, but I think she still thinks the husband's got something to do with it. Well, why would the husband pay the divorce attorney, her divorce attorney, to? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense.
when we think about someone who is murdered just days before a divorce trial, we know where the first look is, right? The man she's divorcing.
Okay, so that's what I thought. So it's butterfly kisses, right? Whoop.
Dr. Sanford Sherman, but through all the years, there were a lot of things he was doing, but at no point did they ever say that he was implicated in any of this. He has subsequently passed.
All right, hold on a second. Sorry to keep stopping this, but I want to see this walk from above, like. Yeah, hold on a second. All right, so let's.
But at no point did they ever.
This arm is weird. What guy walks like that? Unless he's carrying something here that's causing him to do that. Because it looks like this other arm is inside this jacket here. Or whatever this is. Let me back this up just to... Fuck. I hate my life. All right, here we go. Ready? All right, so...
A lot of things he was doing, but at no point...
See, he's not doing it there. I think this person knows there's cameras here, so that might be some sort of an act. Because that just doesn't look normal.
Did they ever...
See, now the person starts doing that. This looks like where we just were.
say
With the park sign here.
that he was implicated?
That's just fucking weird. That arm is just really weird. That doesn't even look normal to me. I hate life. All right, here we go.
Say that he
See, it just doesn't look. No, he wasn't doing it over here. Now all of a sudden, if he's in the camera view here, this person starts doing that.
was implicated in
All right.
any of this. He has subsequently passed
I don't know.
away.
Yes, and that's actually so astounding because when you look at him, there are a lot of red flags surrounding him as well. But I understand, of course, if the state is saying that he's not at all involved, then I believe them. So who else could it be? You know what I was thinking is that the owners of Stafford and Stafford, they were both the brothers suspended at the time. And I worry about that, about help with pickups or help getting into the building or, with a hotspot, because there's people deleting voicemails. There's people deleting video footage. There's this.
Yeah, this is, this just happened. When was this? This was done, July 14th. This is the, Lisa Sherman case here. No, not Missy Beavers. This is very similar. He paid because it makes him look innocent. Maybe. I mean, thank you, Heather, for putting all those channels in here. There's this is where is she? Right here. This is Jocelyn's channel right here. Woke up and ain't medicated. I'm just trying to remember what you're talking about when I said she's the bodyguard. Whatever. I should just ask Tracy. Does that look like a girl or a guy to you, Tracy?
This mobile hotspot and then the change of the phone by an authorized person. All of that is a little bit strange with what's going on inside the company.
Absolutely. Okay. Our guests are
It's
staying
so
with.
weird. It does. I mean, it's some parts of that. It does look like, it's definitely some sort of a, female gait with that arm. Because I know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know.
With us coming up next. What was going on in Eliza's life at the time of her murder?
My friend Elisa was the most beautiful human being. She was a caregiver. She was a friend. She was just a beautiful person.
Matriarch of the Adelson
This is the problem, right? There's so many of these cases going on. I haven't even delved into the Adelson case yet, and that's going on right now. It's just there's so many Adelsons. It's so confusing.
family gets arrested.
Much.
The medical examiner's office told us today that Sherman was stabbed 11 times on Sunday, right down here in this walkway behind the Galleria.
Eliza Sherman was able to call 911 after the attack. She was stabbed 11 times when she was attacked. It was broad daylight. It's like 4:30, 5 o'clock on a Sunday in downtown Cleveland, outside of the building where her lawyer's office was. When you talk about Eliza Sherman, she's first and foremost
All right, so she's saying, I think it looks female, especially from the rear. The jeans are flared or boot cut at the bottom. Gait is female. Maybe he enlisted his wife. Maybe that's his wife walking. They changed clothes.
mom and was so close with her children, but she was also a nurse who helped so many people during her career, a very selfless person. And through the years, so many have taken time to remember Eliza Sherman. Take a listen.
She was gorgeous inside and out, and she would do anything for you.
You were gone before we knew it, and only God knows why. My friend Elisa was the most beautiful human being. She was a caregiver. She was a friend. She was just a beautiful person. Elisa was a beautiful soul. She was a nurse. She was a caregiver to her parents. She was an amazing friend to so many. She was a labor and delivery nurse, and she was an in vitro nurse, and all she wanted was to help people. She was a caregiver, and just a lovely, wonderful person you'd want as your friend. She was an angel. She was a caregiver. She treated her patients with the utmost respect, and since she was an in vitro nurse, she also treated the husbands with the utmost respect. She was just a caregiver. She was sunshine. She was kind. She would help strangers.
Makes no sense. It really makes no sense. Let's get to the next question in our investigation, because it's significant in light of what happened to her and the charges now. What was going on in Eliza's?
Yeah, I think Jocelyn would have a lot of good stories. I'm pretty sure Jocelyn is a nurse or something in a prison.
Life at the time of her murder. Still helping us with our investigations of Gisela Kay and Maria Zuhl, who's a friend of Eliza Sherman. Maria, what was going on? Was the divorce was the big deal at that point?
Yes, I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, she was on her, going to work and, doing what she needed to do. And like I say, she, I remember her sending me an email about, being a character witness for her, which I thought she didn't need any character witness. She was, such a good person. And I just remember that was a long time ago, and, her wondering why us wondering why, all of a sudden
This is the kind of friend you want in life, like this here, because it's been since 2013, and this person is still advocating for this person here. So, I mean, most people would have already, forgotten about, or not forgotten about it, but just kind of lost hope. But this person here has been advocating for Elisa for years.
her lawyer, I guess it was her lawyer, who was saying there are character witnesses needed and stuff. But yeah, she had a tough life with her husband.
How bad did things get at the end?
I think they were bad for years. And so she didn't say as much to me. She didn't really say as much to me. I knew things weren't good, but I didn't know how bad they were until I hear stuff now. To be honest with you, because I think she kept stuff from me because I don't know, someone told me that she thought I had.
This is the honest truth here. If I can do this shit, anybody can do it. This is, and it's not just, the technical side of this whole thing. It's just, especially when you're covering true crime. I mean, these stories are so freaking depressing. Sometimes you just want to give it up. I mean, these horrible cases. But I'm pretty sure you would have some really good stories about prisons, man. Prisons are like daycare centers. It's just whining all the time. People in there are just so annoying.
A great marriage, and I guess someone told me she felt embarrassed about it, and I don't know why, I mean, I didn't know that at the time. I loved Elisa so much, and she was just such a good person. She did everything for you. She was always buying me little gifts, because I love dogs, and she'd always be dropping something off, or, I have so much stuff that she would just find shopping and give it to me. And I say, Elisa, you do too much. And, I was just out with the kids and we were having fun. And she just liked to do those kinds of things. And her
Thinking of others.
JP's awesome. JP's an awesome artist. He does fantastic work. It sucks he had to take his channel down though. But I try to promote as many people as I possibly can. We'll stay on this for a little bit longer, then I'll get to move on because there's other shit.
go out,
Thinking of others. Right. It's a mindset. It's just an approach to life that she had. Gisela, but things were difficult. This was like the definition of a bitter divorce.
Yeah, this wasn't like, I remember this case years here. This was, all cases are pretty bitter, but this one in particular, and I know from the beginning, obviously the husband was the main suspect, but then they got this video image of this person walking, and I don't think that looks like the husband at all.
Yes, the divorce was filed in 2011. And then in the beginning of 2012, Elisa had actually emailed herself to say that she was really scared that her husband was going to have her killed. And so that's why I say he's a little bit of a red flag, but ends up not being actually part of the case according to the state. But she feared for her life. She had a dead on her door. She eventually started telling friends and family that she was scared of her husband or what he might do. And at the time of her murder, she seemed actually optimistic for once, like, okay, this is actually going ahead. Like, we're actually going to go to trial, because her friend Jan had offered to go with her that day on that Sunday and she said, no, it's fine. Don't worry. I'll be okay. And she went. So it just gives me the vibe that she was really looking forward to this finally being over. And she'd expressed that to her family as well. And, to think that it's the divorce attorney that's actually accused of murdering her is truly shocking.
Can you imagine that? Like, your own divorce, your own, like, a divorce attorney is supposed to be like your bitch, right? Like that's what they do. That's how they make their money. And then this guy here, you know, I don't know, this weird.
Shocking.
It is, because you have a case like this.
Why would you unalive somebody giving you money to be your divorce attorney? That's just stupid.
She's afraid of her husband. She's got the deadbolt on her door. She's telling others that she's in fear of this man. And then she ends up dead. And obviously all the attention is going to go to him. But as Maria pointed out, Gisela, Gregory Moore never said a word. It's his client. He's looking out for her interests. He's there to represent her, and he says nothing when she is murdered outside his office, going to a meeting that he asked her to come to.
Dork.
I mean, that speaks volumes. Him saying absolutely nothing, making no statement, not saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. Instead, his cell phone, this evidence from the cell phone shows
she has like the greatest radio, like she would be the greatest radio voice vocalist ever. Like she could have her own like talk show on the radio. She's just got almost like the perfect accent for the radio.
texting her, creating alibis, deleting videos apparently, doing all sorts of other things, saying he was in the building when he wasn't. And yet when faced with such tragedy everybody's experiencing, he's just quiet. I mean, it really does speak volumes.
Yeah, the quiet is.
Miranda's here. Hey, Miranda, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, Amy's awesome too. Amy's great. Amy G. If you're not subscribed to Amy G, please go over there and do that. She's been doing a lot on the Delphi case. Welcome back, Heather. You okay? How many times have you heard the same scenario? Exactly. It's the dumbest system ever. It's just, there's no such thing as help for, but this case in particular, because the person, like, that's supposed to be helping you through a divorce is the person who ends up unaliving you. That's just fucked up.
Is deafening. Maria Azul, thank you so much for joining.
Like if you were to just throw some names in a hat, even like who the top 10 possible suspects that would be responsible for something like this, the last name in the hat would be that guy, right? Like, that's just fucking weird. Anyways, okay. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Let's go back and read a little more of this indictment. Good to see Miranda in here. Is this the one here? Yes. So a real tiny bit more of this here. So this was the grand jurors on their oaths further find that the defendant unlawfully did cause the unaliving. So the grand jury, which basically means nothing. I mean, it means something, but it doesn't mean as much as people think it does. As approximate result of the offender committing it or attempting to commit an offense of violence that is a felony, first or second degree. So I think he's, is it first degree? Yeah, first degree 1, felony 1. So that's that. All right, so let's go to this the paddle border here. Let me come back a little bit closer to home here. Now I don't have to go up to Maine, which is good news. So I kind of arrested this kid here, 17-year-old kid, in the unaliving of this Union paddle boarder here that was going paddle boarding. They were really quiet about this for like 2 weeks. And I think they probably knew who did this. They just didn't want to put any names out there. But anyways, they arrested this kid here. What was it, on Thursday? Was it Thursday? New details were released Friday in a case that rocked Midcoast, Maine and got a national attention. the unaliving paddleboarder, Sunshine Stewart. So here's this here.
Developments in a case that rocked the Mid-Coast and got national attention, the murder of a paddleboarder more than 2 weeks ago.
We are learning new details, including the name of the 17-year-old boy accused of killing 48-year-old Sunshine Sonny Stewart. And since the juvenile is now formally charged with murder and his name has been released, CBS 13 has decided to report his name as well.
CBS 13's Brad Rogers is following tonight's new developments from Union.
The accused teen and his family had recently stayed at Micmac Family Campground in Union, where Sonny Stewart was a seasonal camper. Today, a judge found probable cause that Devin Young intentionally committed her murder.
I'm assuming that they knew the kid's family. He camped there. Sonny camped there.
Annie Miller lived in the next town over from Frankfort, where Devin Young lived with his family down this driveway. Today, a Knox County judge ruled Devin Young allegedly committed what would be considered murder by an adult. It's unclear right now if he'll be tried as an adult. The court also ordered Devin Young be detained to ensure his presence at future court proceedings and to prevent the juvenile from inflicting bodily harm to others.
It's a lot to take in.
Kristen Miller lives across the street from the Youngs and would often see Devin on a tractor mowing the yard.
Scary the fact that he lived across the street from me. And I mean, my kids play out here all the time, so it's just a very scary feeling.
Many of her friends believe Sonny would have to save her life. The state medical examiner who ruled
Is Gail going? Good to see you, Gail. I hope you feel better. It's always good to see you here in the chat. Get some good sleep. Got to get some rest. Good night, sweet souls. Oh, you're welcome. Thoughts will be with you for sure. I hope you have a great week. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it. Gail's awesome. Gail's amazing.
Sonny's death a homicide, says she died from strangulation and blunt force trauma. There are still several unanswered questions. What was the motive? Did Devin Young's DNA match the DNA found at the murder scene? And will a psychological evaluation be ordered?
I hope that the state police can.
This is weird because they came out saying that they were going to start swabbing. I'm pretty sure most of the males who were at the lake at that time, and then within, I don't know, half a day, they had arrested this kid. So I don't know what was going on here.
Let us know some information about what happened.
Camden attorney Jeremy Pratt was appointed to represent the teen. We reached out for comment, but did not hear back. In Frankfort, Brad Rogers, CBS 13 News.
We want to recap how we got to this point.
Yeah, this all started back on Thursday, July 3rd. That's when the search began about 1 o'clock that morning. Maine game wardens were called in to help the Union Fire Department and the Knox County
So July
Sheriff's Office.
3rd, which was 3 weeks ago now.
Search for a missing paddleboarder on Crawford Pond in Union, who was last seen the day before.
I will say one thing though, around here, every other weekend is pretty much normal. And once you start getting around July 3rd, July 4th, even the week before, week after, it takes on a whole new animal, man. This place here, especially up in here, alcohol consumption goes way up. Fireworks, people just get ready. It's a completely different time of the year. So I'm wondering if that had something to do with this.
Officials then announced that they had found an adult woman's body later that day. Wardens then called in Maine State Police because of the circumstances.
2 days later, July 5th, police identified that woman as Sunshine Stewart and confirmed this was now a homicide
So
case.
July 5th, they identified the body. We've done a few things on this here. Confirmed it was a homicide.
Police also asked anyone who may have seen Stewart paddleboarding the night of Wednesday, July 2nd to contact them. 2 days later, on the 4th, police established a tip line and recognized community fear, advising people to remain vigilant. And then yesterday, a week and a half later, we learned a 17-year-old had been arrested. State police also revealing Stewart died from strangulation and blunt force trauma.
Now, this does bring us up to today. The AG's office confirming the 17-year-old, just 2.5 months shy of his 18th birthday, is now charged with murder. Court documents are identifying him for the first time as Devin Young.
I couldn't imagine how alcohol consumption could go up around here. I'm telling you, man, people around here are crazy. All right, so which one do we want to play next? This one here. Actually, hold on a second. Let me, because I got one pulled up already. I'm gonna do this one here. I wonder if they're gonna try this kid as an adult. I think Barbara Hall's here. Hey, Barbara Hall, good to see you. Right here. Let's do this one here. So this one was done 2 days ago. A 17-year-old from Maine was taken into custody in connection with the death of Sonny Sunshine Stewart. They finally released his picture, though. Play this one here, and I'll play one more.
Weeks ago and never came home. It is a case that has sparked national attention and a lot of mystery as to what might have happened. And tonight we.
It's good to see Miss Barbara Hall in here. Where is she? Right there. Hi, Barb. Good to see you. Haven't forgotten about you. Matricide, my biggest fear. It's good to see Barbara here. Hope Barbara's doing well. Southern gal. She's probably exhausted.
We have new details. We are here.
I'll tell you, Maine's been a pretty hot state lately. I mean, there's a whole bunch of crap going on up here. Usually in Maine, you never hear anything about anything until this year, right here.
Here in Union, not too far from Crawford Pond. Let's take it back 2 weeks just before the 4th of July holiday weekend. The 48-year-old, who many call Sonny, had gone paddleboarding alone on the night of July 2nd. She was reported missing after she didn't come home. Her body found on Crawford Pond several hours later. That was around 1 a.m. Tonight, we've learned investigators arresting a
Okay, so they finally came out with the COD, strangulation and blunt force trauma. So she was apparently hit and then strangled, probably. Suspect, a 17-year-old male from Maine. I think he's from a little bit north of there. Arrested late last night. This was done 2 days ago. Suspect at Long Creek Youth so they sent him to a developmental center. They should try this kid as an adult. He's 17.
17-year-old in connection to Stewart's homicide. We also learned the cause of death, described as strangulation and blunt force trauma. An official familiar with the investigation telling ABC News that the suspect frequently visits the Crawford Pond area to spend summer vacations here with his family. We also know that juvenile taken into custody without incident and transported to Long Creek Youth Development Center.
Thank you, Tracy. Just make sure you have plenty of money for Roblox and you'll be fine. Did you guys hear Richard Allen got moved to a prison in Oklahoma? Probably for his safety too.
In South Portland. Now, there has not been a lot of information released by investigators in this case up until today, and state police telling us that was intentional, saying releasing those details like the cause of death could have compromised the integrity of this investigation. But of course, for those who live in this area and friends of Sonny Stewart, it's been an uneasy couple of weeks. Someone we spoke with said the mood of the town has been described as shock and also concern. But of course, tonight
it's shock and awe. Remember that, buddy.
We know state police arresting a juvenile, 17 years old. We have team coverage happening tonight right here in Union. Our own Jackie Mundry has been in town talking to folks here about the developments today and also those who knew Sonny Stewart. Jackie, what have you learned? What have folks around here been telling you?
Oh, you poor thing, Barb. 3 years on Monday. I'll try to do something Monday night before I go to work for Timmy. Big hugs to Miss Barb. Oh, that sucks. They usually move people for safety reasons or overcrowding.
Scott, there's definitely a sense of relief tonight now that someone has been arrested in this case, the case of 48-year-old Sunny Stewart. Stewart's friends described her as someone who loved the outdoors and would give the shirt off her.
Barbara Hall is an amazing person. Always here for you, Barb. Love you here. Like I said, maybe I'll try to do something. What's today? Today's Sunday, so Monday afternoon.
Her back and was always there to help others. It took 2 weeks to make an arrest in this case. And during that time, Maine State Police told people in the area to be vigilant, which caused some people to be concerned.
What the hell does that even mean? Be vigilant. So stupid. Dumb. Obviously, if there's a person that just unalived somebody running around, obviously you're going to be probably aware, but never understood that.
Well, everybody was concerned, you know. They still hadn't found anyone who did it, whatever. But it was a normal reaction, I'd say.
Where was Dino at the time? That's the question.
Because they all were very curious about what's going on.
Like I said, people were happy to see, you know, some sort of end or decision in this case. And, you know, after folks were told to stay vigilant.
I get in trouble for everything around here. So I'm going to Frederickstown. I'm not going any away. Made new signs. Oh, cool. Dave, think of how many. Yes, dumb people breathe. Absolutely. Yeah, I get in trouble for getting the Robux, and I get in trouble for not getting the Robux. So it's a no-win proposition here every time. Thankfully, my daughter's kind of grown out of that a little bit, but she still asks for it. I don't even know what Roblox is, to be honest with you.
Vigilant, you know, there is a little bit of a sense of relief. A lot of people in town saying things like this doesn't happen here. So that's kind of, you know, the energy here in the community tonight. But Maine State Police do say that this is an ongoing investigation. I saw troopers here in town today, Scott. So, you know, we're still waiting to learn more, as you've been saying.
Okay, Jackie, thank you. And again, police arresting a teenager in the homicide investigation of Sunny Stewart. Our own Bonnie Bishop is live in the studio tonight. And Bonnie, you spoke with a former FBI agent who is familiar with cases like this. What did he have to tell you?
Well, Scott, he provided some good insight on dealing with a juvenile suspect in a case like this. But as you mentioned, state police tell us the suspect is now.
I remember going off topic here. Roblox is a meeting place at Como. So cool. I think I was seven or eight. And I got a small paper route in the neighborhood. And I needed one of those, you know, paper carrier things. So I think they were like $5 or $10. So I asked my father for $10. He looked at me and he said, "What do you think I am, a fucking bank?" Like, oh man. Oh yeah, kids these days, man, they have no idea.
Being held at Long Creek Youth Development Center. As you've also mentioned, his name has not been released. All we know at this point is that he is a 17-year-old boy. The state AG's office says they do not have any additional information that they can share with us at this time. Investigators also tell.
If you keep going this way here, that's Canada right there. There's nothing there at all. But snow and more snow, ice, hockey, maple syrup. If you go this way down here, you go to the ocean. But right about here, that line right there, that's Canada. There's like 5 people there.
Telling ABC News that he spends his summers on the pond with family. Because he is a juvenile, many may be wondering if he will be tried as an adult. I spoke with ABC News contributor and former FBI agent Brad Garrett, who thinks there's a real chance the suspect will be tried as an adult.
When you have somebody that's close to being legally an adult and they commit really a horrendous homicide, then it logically may well make sense that he could get prosecuted as an adult.
State police have not announced any charges just yet. And here in Maine,
You're building a wall of snow. What's it gonna do? Oh my God.
a judge decides if a juvenile suspect will be tried as an adult based on the crime's severity and the juvenile's criminal history. For Maine's Total Coverage, I'm Bonnie Bishop. Scott, back to you.
Bonnie, thank you. Back here live in Union, it was 2 weeks ago that Sunny Stewart took her paddleboard out on a pond a lot like this and never came home. Tonight, we know police arresting a teenage suspect in that homicide investigation. As you heard there, investigators saying it is very much an active and on.
All right, active and ongoing. We've heard that before. I want to play one more of these here, and then I want to get back into the Dirk Noor thing. So we'll play this one here from Law and Crime.
17 years old.
Hold on a second here. Back this up a little bit. This was done just a little bit more in depth. 17-year-old has been arrested in the Maine paddleboarder murder mystery. I can't believe they're calling it that. But did confirm the suspect is a boy. Sunny Stewart was found unalived earlier this month after she had planned a paddleboard session. So this is this here.
We have a major update to tell you about in a story we've been following for the last 2 weeks that has put many in coastal small town Maine on edge. Maine State Police say they have.
Are you okay, Heather? If shit keeps up here, a lot more will move over the border. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. You know how cold it is in Canada?
Made an arrest. They have taken a 17-year-old into custody in connection
And they all talk really funny there.
to the murder of Sunshine Stewart. At the time,
This poor freaking woman, just enjoying her life, doing what it's such a horrible story. All these stories are just terrible.
time of this recording, we know that the suspect was taken into custody around 10:30 last night on July 16th without incident. Maine State Police have not released the suspect's name. They referred to him as a juvenile in their announcement. He is just 17 years old, and they say he's been transported to a youth facility, which is roughly an hour and a half away. It's called the Long Creek Youth Development Center. It is south of Portland, Maine. I'll get to the cause of death for Sunshine Stewart in just a moment, but there are some key pieces of information that led up to this arrest in the last couple of days. This story began on July 2nd when Sunshine's Sunny Stewart went out paddleboarding on Crawford Pond. She launched from a campsite.
One of my favorite cities in the world, though, is Montreal. I love Montreal. I haven't been up there for a while. Montreal's a great city. At least it was. I don't know what happened. But great. If you like underground stuff and all that kind of stuff, Montreal's a place for you. Very clean.
On the north side of the pond. Police originally said that she left the campsite between 6 and 9 p.m. July 2nd, but she never returned. Friends have said that she was planning to spend the summer living at this campsite. She had rented a camper and she had just been at the campsite for a couple of days prior to her death. Now, when she didn't return to the campsite on July 2nd, after she went out paddleboarding, that is when law enforcement was called. They searched for several hours on Crawford Pond, and then around 1 o'clock in the morning, they say they found her body. Police say when...
Do they actually have cars in Canada now, or does everybody still do horseback? Japan is clean, too. Japan is amazing. Japan isn't a third world country, though, so it's a little different.
they found the body of Sunshine Stewart, they called in the Major Crimes Unit of the state police to investigate, and an autopsy confirmed that they were investigating a homicide. Yesterday, I spoke to Steve Betts, who's a longtime reporter in Maine. He's covered the area for more than 40 years. He said that this was the biggest mystery.
It's so funny because this guy was on talking to this guy like the day before, and he was explaining how they were trying to get DNA from all the suspect, all the males in the vicinity, and apparently that reporting was, I don't know, maybe it was true, I don't know, but they like right after that they named this kid as being the suspect. So
ever covered in this part of Maine. He works for an outlet called the Mid-Coast Villager. That said that he learned that police found Stewart's body on the south end of the island in the middle of the pond. It's called 100 Acre Island. It's run by a land trust and it's a nature preserve. He says that her body was found not too far from her paddleboard and her body was close to the water on the shore. Obviously, there are
the only thing about Japan is the food. I'm not a big fan of Japanese food. Canada has indoor plumbing in our igloos. Oh, that's cool.
ton of questions that we have at this point related to the arrest. At the time of this recording, we don't know if the suspect had any connection to Stewart, if he knew her prior to this attack, if he was staying on this island, what took place on this island. Again, there are so many questions that we just don't know the answers to in the hours after the announcement of this arrest. We did learn today what the cause of death was for this murder. Police say that Sunshine Stewart died of blunt force trauma and strangulation. It's unclear why police did not release the cause of death for the 2 that they investigated this case. And we also learned from the Mid-Coast Villager that police had recently asked for the DNA of men in the area of Crawford Pond. It's unclear specifically how they honed in on this particular suspect who's now accused in the murder of Sunshine Stewart. This story, though, it has rocked this part of Maine. It is a place that typically doesn't see violent crime like this. It's a where people often go to just get away, to enjoy.
There's nobody there. I mean, how can you have violent crime if there's nobody there? During the summer, I mean, these are all basically what they call summer bunnies up here. They come up here, they have private homes up here, but they're never here. They come up for the summer, that's it, and they're gone. And for about 9 months out of the year, there's absolutely nobody fucking there. It's just, so I don't understand why they're saying how can you commit crime if there's nobody there? There's just nobody. Everybody in Maine basically lives on the coast. Once you start going west, it's just, you start seeing less and less people. There's nobody.
Enjoy the outdoors like Sunshine Stewart was. Many people live there full-time, but also a lot of people live there part-time just for the summer, or they go there on vacation. For as much as this story put a spotlight on this part of Maine, it's also important to keep a spotlight on the person that Sunshine Stewart was.
3 or 4 times, actually. I was just happy I was in the same room, to be honest with you.
Friends described her as an avid.
It's beautiful up here, though, in Maine. It just is. It's, but there's nobody here. As you can see, there's no homes. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. You see this everywhere. This is, I think they say that humans live on 1% of all of the Earth's land, and you will find that out quickly if you go to Maine. There's just nobody here. Canadians don't even want to live in Maine. That's how bad it is.
Outdoors woman. She had worked in the fishing industry. She had worked as a boat captain. Recently, she was working as a contractor. Her friends launched this GoFundMe that's raised more than $33,000 at the time of this recording to help with funeral.
Are you okay, Barb? I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great night. I hope Monday goes as good as it can for you. We love Barb here. I'll try to do something on Monday, like I said. Have a great week if you can, Barb. Wow, she's already raised.
Join us now.
She's already raised $34,000. Wow.
talk a little bit about this breaking news is retired NYPD Detective David Sarney. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. What stands out to you with this arrest in the case of Sunshine Stewart?
Again, thank you for having me. It's just, it's a relief right now, because what you're seeing is
This guy's awesome too. I think he has a I think he has a YouTube channel too. I'm not sure.
I believe they're confident in the fact that the person they have in custody did commit this murder. They haven't put the charges out yet, but they did put the cause of death as strangulation and blunt force trauma. So it's beneficial on that end. If you look at it, you have hopefully some closure for the family and the friends having an arrest made on this. The prosecution will come later, but then you look at again the age of the person who's been arrested. He's 17, and this is becoming a problematic situation, I think, nationally and maybe internationally.
South Portland, Maine is another one of my favorite places to go. There's a restaurant up there called the Great Lost Bear. It's a great bar. It's just heavenly up there. We used to go up to the Cumberland County Civic Center all the time to see concerts up there, and we'd go to the bar, the Great Lost Bear. It's just they call it the Great Lost Bear because there's this huge bear statue outside the bar. It's just amazing up there, right next to the coast, South Portland. A lot of drunk times up there. Woo-hoo.
And actually dealing with youth and violence, and how this person thought, whatever moment in time to then strangle and hurt, injured, and blunt force trauma. So we're not sure how the blunt force trauma took place, maybe by a rock or some other instrument he had in his possession at the time. But it's a benefit that they have a person in custody. And you can see right now they're becoming more open in the investigation because they're explaining, how Sonny was murdered.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about the cause of death in a moment, but 17 years old is a suspect. At the time we're recording this, we don't know their name. They've been taken to a juvenile detention center, which is about an hour and a half away near Portland, Maine. How likely is it that we'll learn the name of this suspect?
From my understanding, the way Maine operates is when he gets his first court appearance, they'll release the name. We've seen that in the past with other, each state is different in the way they handle juvenile arrests for felony crimes. And Maine, I believe, is on that line where they want to maintain the person's name out of the media until the first appearance. And you'll probably see that name come out at that point. And you may also see further explanation as to the apprehension and arrest of this 17-year-old.
Yeah, and few pieces of information coming out from Maine State Police. I mean, certainly some big pieces of information, but said it was, I guess they were cooperative when they were arrested, were brought into custody without incident. David, I think about how this all played out, and you have this woman who goes out paddleboarding in, quiet coastal Maine on a pond around the 4th of July. I mean, it's the type of place that it's cliche to say it doesn't happen here, but it does seem like a place that you just wouldn't expect it. When you hear the cause of death being blunt force trauma and strangulation, in your experience, typically, what does that tell you about how this crime happened?
It was violent. I mean, that's really the end result. Is there's a violence to Sonny's death and to a murder at this point. And that's what you can see. I mean, the moment we know she left at a certain time and they recovered body several hours later. You're looking at, what the time frame was. Apparently the 17-year-old's family would actually be in the area, was vacation in the campground areas. So there is some familiarity with the area. Whether or not there's a relationship between Sonny and this 17-year-old is, speculative at this point. But the violence to her is what caused that violence. What was the interaction with Sonny and this defendant at that moment in that pond area? I mean, the paddleboard was still there at the scene. Was he on the, and were they paddleboarding together? Was there something that happened? Did he just approach her? The violence, again, sticks out because what made that interaction violent? And, we could speculate because apparently they were looking for DNA samples from males in the area. So I don't, even want to say anything because obviously I'm not part of that investigation, but I could understand they're looking at a male for a particular reason. And I guess the unusual circumstances in which Sonny's body was found may have led to the fact they believed it was a male involved.
What do you make of it? Was about 2 weeks from July 3rd when her body was found around 1 o'clock in the morning to last night around 10:30. I guess this arrest was made. People, understandably, people who lived in Maine were on edge because there wasn't a lot of information being released. And as far as murder
You too, Barb. I hope you have a great night and a great week. My dad and I bonded over Benny Hill and Wonder Woman. I think it was a Detroit Rock City on videotape. A 3-year-old watched it every night till we wore it out. Still a huge Kiss fan. Cool. Awesome.
Investigations go, what do you make of the time it took to make this arrest?
I always say that we would wish these investigations would be faster, but they can't. You have to really take a step-by-step process to this. You know, we don't paint these investigations with a broad brush. We go with scalpels. We actually have to make sure we have everything that we have down. Back in the day, we used to use an easel, and we'd have everything down on that easel and put down what were things that were done and what needs to be done. And we've seen investigations go on for extensive periods of time because of that. And really the prosecution needs more evidence because that's what it comes down to. You know, we want to make sure that everything is done in the process to find out what the truth of what happened to Sonny. And that's why I think the investigation took that long, because you want to make sure that nothing is missed. So there could be nothing to say that the person that we have arrested is not the person that committed the crime. And
Right. Okay. So let's get out of that. I do want to, I may double back to that later. I do want to cover this because, for one, what Paula asked me to do this, so I'm going to do this. My dad and I saw some movies together. I was always out working with my dad. All right. So this is another local story here that's happened. This guy who went up to Mount Washington just all of a sudden disappeared up there, and apparently they found his body, so that does suck. But I will say, you know, Mount Washington here is a strange mountain because especially on the East Coast here, it's one of those places where you just don't know what's going to happen once you get up there. I mean, you could literally be early August, 90 degrees out down at the base, and once you get up there, it's a blizzard. You just never know the weather conditions up there. And I think Mount Washington is one of the only, it's one of the few snow-capped mountains east of the Rockies, because you can get snow here all year round. Mount Washington has some of the most fierce weather conditions on the planet. So they did find him dead. He probably wandered off and got lost, and especially on the south side. So here we go with this.
Davis was last seen on this observation deck at the top of Mount Washington. His wife was with him. What she didn't know was it would be her last day with him.
Years ago, I used to climb this thing when I was in good shape. But I ain't fucking walking up this mountain now. That ain't happening. The drive up there is great. I remember scaring the shit out of my wife going up there. Because she was in the passenger seat on the way up. So, you know, all you can do is look down, literally.
Sounds like they did find a conscious male.
6,000 feet up.
Just FYI, they located the subject.
250,000 visitors a year. The 3-day search for one now over.
The person we were looking for has just been found deceased.
A man from Florida on a trip to the summit Wednesday before disappearing.
Really, all we know is he had no intention to hike, but for some reason he went off on the hiking trails and no one knows why.
A state parks employee was able to call William Davis. Before he could say where he was, his phone died. The rough mountain conditions meant calling off the search.
And so those conditions started from those pretty ideal conditions Wednesday evening and deteriorated pretty quickly to below average temperatures as well as above average winds.
Searches continued into a third day.
This is a very rare instance where I was not able to ever talk to him, and his phone is now off or dead.
Over those 3 days, 50 people searched, drones and helicopters in air. Friday morning, Davis's body found on the mountain's southeast side.
A lot of the calls we get, a lot of times they get into trouble is when they get separated.
Make sure you're aware of those conditions are going to change. And also to be familiar with the terrain, familiarize yourself with the terrain around Mount Washington.
Now, Fish and Game say they don't exactly...
How the hell are you supposed to be familiar with the terrain if you're visiting from Florida? I mean, some people are just really stupid. They'll tell you once you get up there, though, not to wander off. There's signs everywhere, so I don't know what happened because, you know, usually people are smart enough not to go wandering around there too much. So.
We know how Davis died, but they do know that it's clear he fell from a steep and rocky slope. His body is now recovered. From the top of Mount Washington, John Schoenheider, WMUR News 9.
Okay. Oh, Jocelyn. All right, so that's that. He's dead. That sucks, but you know it happens up there very infrequently. But it can happen because people just, like I said, they don't listen and study the mountain before you scale it unprepared. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't take much up there to die. It wouldn't, especially on the south end. All right. So what are we going to do now? I want to go to this here because we covered this last week? But this is an interview here. This case has been resurfacing for me over the last couple of months or so. This Dior Kunz investigation. Remember, we covered this last week, but this is an interview with the sheriff and the current sheriff, the retired sheriff and the current sheriff for this poor kid that just went missing a long time ago. What was it? Been 20 years, I think, out of Idaho. So this is the interview with these two guys here.
Between 50 and 100. Yeah. For those people that aren't familiar with the story, can we just do a brief overview of what happened July 10th, 2015 here?
Well, obviously we got a call into the dispatch saying that there was a missing 2-year-old at this location. And then so we sent resources up here to start looking.
And it was here at this actual site where we're sitting?
Where he went missing from.
Right.
Yes.
And what was the layout as far as tents versus SUVs? Was there a camper? Like how?
We went up the last time we went up there in the Focus, and it was literally, I mean, down at the base, you know, before you start climbing the mountain, it was 85, 90 degrees, shorts. We got up there, and it was actually pretty nice up there when we first got up there to the observatory. And then all of a sudden it just started snowing for no reason. It was just, you couldn't see 2 feet in front of you.
What kind of was the area set up?
So there was a camper right over here. And then there was
this case right here. I don't want to say it's the most bizarre case I've ever covered, but it is very, very strange how somebody can lose a child this way in an open field, literally. I mean, it just this whole thing. I don't know. This whole thing just doesn't make any sense at all.
Tent kind of behind you, and there was a different table at that time, and it sat over, kind of more over here, or actually more right here.
There's a creek just down the hill right here.
Yes.
So was that kind of an area of focus?
Carol's taking off. Have a good night, Carol. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate all your support. Carol's amazing. Does Carol have a channel too? We like Carol here. Thank you, Carol, very much for coming in.
Focus in those early hours and days?
Yeah, we searched that real intently. It's not very deep, but we put divers in it, just on their bellies, and then sawed out all the log jams and brush piles and things like that from down at the fence all the way up to the reservoir.
Dior is there with 4 adults, and what was their story about when he disappeared?
They had mom and dad and Dior had gone to town, and then they came back and they left him and Dior in the care of grandfather, and they went fishing for a little bit and then came back and he was gone.
And Grandpa said
he thought that he was with them.
And Isaac said
Isaac was off in the over here
fishing.
Yes.
Yeah. So did anything sound suspicious?
In the beginning, it seemed like a typical, lost child.
You guys then go all out as far as search efforts within those first few days. Sheriff, can you tell me a little bit about that as far as the resources that were brought up here?
Yeah, initially the first day there was quite a few resources. Actually, we brought the city's canine up here. And, that dog was a search dog or a scent dog too, and I think they ran the dog that initial day in this general area as well as across the creek and up the road. There's a reservoir just above us here, maybe not less than a quarter mile. So there was a little bit of focus on that water as well.
The helicopter.
That initial day, that initial afternoon or evening, by the time we got resources on site, we had a helicopter. Two Bear Air was called in, which they're out of, is it Kalispell?
Yeah.
Two Bears out of Kalispell, and they basically have a helicopter with FLIR, which is, they can see at night. They can see heat signatures at night and stuff. So when they got here, they landed, we coordinated with them, and then they flew this whole general area around this camp area along the road or along the reservoir. And those results, were negative that night. Can't really think they flew back to town and stayed in Salmon Field, and then I think they came out the next day and did some more flying, and then that resource was kind of exhausted, so they were released. The next day there was a lot more resources, a lot more personnel on site. We brought in search and rescue personnel, divers. We put divers in the reservoir up above. There's a half dozen guys that dove. I was one of the divers that day, and we used scuba gear and dove that. It's pretty shallow, and it had a lot of growth in it, so that was kind of a negative result thing too as well. From the air, the helicopter.
This case is just so fucked up, man. It's just, how is there not any answers in this case yet? It's so weird, and it really sucks because I had everything pretty much documented on my other computer. I had where the kid was last seen. I had it all laid out pretty much on a map. And then I lost it. So when I lost my computer, so I'll have to do it again. But there's something about this case that just doesn't. And I hate using this term because everybody uses it, but there's something about this case here that just doesn't add up. And I'm starting to wonder if that kid was even there. That's just my opinion. I'm starting to wonder if something might have happened before they got there and they're just making all this shit up, or because where could he have gone? They searched the entire place. It's just
helicopter could see a lot of that reservoir, and they could see to the bottom of basically it's pretty shallow, so they could see, the into the depth, and they never turned up anything with that as far as flying over it, as well as us diving it. Personnel in the creek, we focused a lot on the creek and the water at that time, just because the creek was quite a bit higher than it is now, and that was kind of a focal point because of the location of where the creek is with the campground and where we were told they had been.
Like, say something happened and earlier in the day, and they said they decided to make this whole thing up where they go to this camping place and claim that he was there and claim that he just all of a sudden just disappeared. It's just there's something wrong here with this whole case.
And then personnel that day too as well. Into the next day, there was well over 200 people here, and I think it was that third day I helped search and rescue coordinate grid search efforts from basically the reservoir, around the reservoir, and all the way down through here. And there was enough people to basically, you could hold hands and cover a really good stretch. So
they're just walking step by step.
We ran along
because they've ruled out. I'll have to read that again. I'll pull it up, but they've ruled out pretty much everything else. They've ruled out kidnapping. They've ruled out abduction. They've ruled out. I mean, that doesn't really mean anything, but they've ruled out like animal attack. So who the fuck else could it be? I mean, it's so weird how,
line walking step by step, and I mean, literally, hand hold apart. And then at the end of the line, that guy on the end of the line flagged as he went with Gibbon. And then that's where we came back, and our second chain, basically the search continued, and it widened after we made our first run. And our grid search went from this location, up at the reservoir, all the way down through here, and all the way down to where the cattle guard is coming in. And it's a mile or two down there, I think.
And nothing.
And there was nothing, no clues, no signs of anything in relation to Dior as far as.
So I'll read this again. This is coming from Wikipedia of all the people that have missed and gone missing in decades. Dior Kunz Jr., Dior age 2, vanished on July 10th, 2015. So it wasn't like it was in the middle of October, or, I mean, it's a beautiful summer day, right? While visiting Timber Creek Campground, Lemhi County near Leodore, Idaho, with his parents, Jessica Mitchell, Vernal Decor Kuntz. All animal kidnapping, illegal adoption, and wandering off have been ruled out by law enforcement. So what else could it fucking be? I mean, it's just weird, bizarre.
To go on, so we just continued our search efforts until they were exhausted. Obviously,
so
we had people on horseback on the high ridges. We had a lot of people out here.
Yeah, I remember.
People from
horses.
Idaho Falls family drove up. Just people that heard about it. Locals, Leadore, just search and rescue personnel from all over, law enforcement, obviously.
Given that the intense search, how plausible is it that a 2-year-old in oversized cowboy boots could make it outside of the perimeter on his own where you search?
I forgot about the cowboy boots.
It's possible.
There's always that possibility
Yeah.
or that chance. Yeah, we can't rule it out for sure. Yeah, he could be further than our perimeter, but I guess in a radius, I think what did our radius end up being, Steve? 5 miles?
Initially, I think it was
Initially,
about 2.5.
The search radius. It was initially 2.5,
And
and then it extended.
Yeah, we went on down further over the years, searching other areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing about the boots is one of the things of information that we had was a lot of times, and this was from independent people, his boots would come off and he'd pack them. He'd put one under each arm and he'd go. So
if the boots came off, he could have.
Initially, we
So,
expected to
yeah,
find
and that
find a
came
clue
from
from DOR, and it was
independent
kind of
people.
family members and those people as well. The boots were thought to, hey, long range, they had to fall off, as well as the information we were given. You know, he was still in diapers and he had an oversized, large, dirty diaper on at the time. So they figured, that could slow him up. So there were those kind of things we were looking for too. But
So here's some images. I got some, hold on a second. Oh, these cases just really fucking bother me, man. This is just, so this is some images of the campground itself. And I don't know when these images were taken. I guess I could pretty much figure that out, but you can tell by the trees, it's probably summertime here. And you see, there's no like visible hindrances or like, I mean, it's a pretty rock. I mean, it can get lost in here for sure. Camping fee $10. So this is self-service pay station here. Do you really have to pay to get in there? Fees are used to manage, so you got to pay to get in there. Bear Country. I mean, it's not like you can't see anything though. Like, oh, I don't know. Oh. This is annoying. Should be would take a kid. Who would take a kid with a dirty diaper? Exactly.
we never did turn up anything in relation to those.
So you think he was up here?
I did, yeah.
I had 4 people, 4 family members. I think something would have materialized by now in 10 years, as far as to if he wasn't up here. And a lot of people speculate, oh, he wasn't there. But when you have, Grandpa, Dior's great grandpa is one witness, puts him here, that he was in this campground, and hey, he was walking that way last time Grandpa saw him. Mom and Dad claimed to have walked up the creek 100 yards to drop into the creek to look and see where the fishing was, and somewhere between where Grandpa was sitting in a lawn chair and where the
that's fake. That's fucking fake. That doesn't make sense. That just that doesn't. I mean, it's possible, right? 100 was 100 yards. Say 100 yards, right? They walked down to the creek, and
the parents walked to the end of this campground, which is roughly 100 yards, is the location they claim that he was last seen in.
So Grandpa's here, kind of where we're sitting.
the football field, literally a football field.
Parents are up there 100 yards.
Yeah.
Isaac's down here over the little hill fishing.
Yep. I recall Grandpa sitting in lawn chairs kind of out in front of the vehicles. Yep. And he was sitting at their cook site. They had a table set up and some other things. And he was sitting in a lawn chair and he was on oxygen. He had an oxygen bottle close to chair and a nasal cannula, so he wasn't really that mobile as far as getting up and leaving where he was. I mean, he could obviously, but
And he could have fallen asleep.
exactly that we
Could
can
have.
speculate. He took a nap, or he was taking a nap, or he fell asleep, or it just wasn't. He's just enjoying the outdoors, obviously, lawn chair.
So at what point does it become elevated to maybe more than the child walked away to? Maybe there was something nefarious or suspicious.
Well, you have to look at everything. And I'm not.
They don't call it the terrible twos for nothing, right? You know. So who knows? Anything's possible.
Sure. It's just a matter of looking at, although we didn't find him, you have to consider all the possibilities, I guess. And
Probably the lack of, as far as there weren't any really leads developed from day one, day two, day three. It was, at that point you start looking back at the time frame and the time before they were here, leading up to it, and they traveled to the store, and obviously we'd backtrack that and collaborated. But
Did you have proof they were at the store?
Yeah, we did. Multiple witnesses, as well as what we were told. They went there to get fuel. The actual Stage Stop store was out of diesel, so they went up. They were told to go up the street in a welding shop, basically.
This case here may never be solved. Because if people haven't, let's just say for the sake of it that the family's involved somehow, right? If they haven't said anything by now, it's probably not going to happen. And I don't even know if Gramps is still alive. Is she still alive, or I don't think so. Who knows?
Peterson Welding in Leadore is another place. They have a storage tank with diesel, and in times when they're out of fuel, they can go there and buy fuel as well.
And they were there.
And they'd ended up going there for fuel, is what we were told.
And then came back.
And then, from there they returned.
Did the stories match from what the parents said versus Grandpa Bob versus Isaac?
They did. Grandpa Bob and Isaac were already here, so they were already here camping, and they stayed here. And the story we were told, it was that Jessica, mom, Vernal, dad, and Dior went to town. They went to town to get some fuel and some other things, obviously at the grocery store, and then returned.
So the previous sheriff named them suspects. I don't think you ever went that far.
no,
Persons of interest?
there's 4 people here where he's last seen, so obviously.
Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah,
Obviously,
They're all
kind
persons
at
of
the end of the
interest.
day, they were here, so they're definitely persons of interest.
Have they been cooperative over the years?
Yeah.
To my knowledge,
Yeah.
I wasn't really a part of all of the investigation, but for the most part, they have been.
Yeah.
All the parties.
Yeah. Yes.
Has there been any sign, any clue?
Sometimes it's just a theory of deduction, right? Like you start at like the encompassing Earth, right? Like all of the people on the planet, and then you whittle it down to, okay, well, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, it wasn't this, wasn't that. You're only left with a certain amount of people. It's got to be them. I don't understand how you could think anything else. It's just to me, the drive to get the diesel is a little weird.
Anything that's been found over the 10 years that is solid?
That you maybe consider a piece of hard evidence
Right.
that would actually.
You can tell though that these two guys are at least being careful what they say. They're kind of, every time the reporter asks a question, I know they're being as truthful as and uh, outwardly as possible, but you can tell that they're kind of mixing what they say, right?
Actually, they're analyzing.
I hate cases like this. These are the cases that really bother me, because obviously something was dropped in the beginning of the investigation, and you know,
As you come up with something that would provide a direction.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing.
No, a handful of suspicion, reasonable suspicion, and reasonable suspicion isn't probable cause, obviously, and there hasn't been anything to develop.
we love Heather. Heather is just a fantastic person. It's just amazing. We love her here. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that things keep going well. So I got the GoFundMe scrolling across the bottom here. All the people here in the chat I know have done the best. So we'll keep it up. Yeah, it's an investigation, so most investigations have mistakes. There's mistakes all the time. But I don't know how you can't blame anybody, like, just by like I'm saying, sheer deduction of possibilities, right? You got to come back to something nefarious went on. They just can't prove it.
Probable cause as far as the criminal side of it, and there hasn't really been anything hard evidence wise to place Dior somewhere in this vicinity, other than the statements from the 4 people that were here with Dior.
There's been several reports over the years that bones have been found, and that could it be Dior? Have you had any leads on bones or any human remains?
So we've done a lot of bones searching over the years, and how we handle that, we do good photographs and we send them to a anthropologist, and they'll either say yay or nay. I need to hold it and look at it. So the only and most of the time they tell you to go try again. It's not human. So we did have one where they requested it. We sent it in. They did a microfilm section, and they said we cannot rule it out not being a young human. So that bone then went to Quantico to try to do some DNA.
To the FBI.
Yes, and that was nothing there. So
they couldn't. It wasn't.
And that was negative results.
It was a pretty small piece of bone, but yeah, we found that. That's kind of a normal part of the search. You come up, you find, and there's a lot of bones, especially in the lower area here. And then
there's absolutely no way. I mean, I don't want to say no way, but you're talking about the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, it's possible they could find probably trace evidence, but there's so many animals up there, so many different types of weather conditions. It'll be almost virtually impossible, I think, at this point to locate any type of remains. Now it's been 10 years, 11 years, maybe. Not saying it's impossible, but highly improbable. Let's just say that.
You take pictures of them and send them to an expert, and they'll say either yay or nay. So,
yeah, I know Steve's been doing a lot on this here. I don't know what he found out, but I don't know if Ruckus helped. Ruckus probably destroyed more shit than helped. I told Mr. Steve when he went up there with Ruckus that if he saw a bear, to have Ruckus punch it in the mouth first, see if that worked, and then if that doesn't work, just play dead.
So most of the time they're animal bones, or
Yes.
all of the time it sounds like
Yeah.
they've been animal bones.
Yeah.
What about the theory that an old piece of clothing was found that may have been ripped?
Hey, buddy, good to see you. It's Cromley. Awesome to see you, buddy. That's all right. It's always good to see you. Hope you're well. Always good to have you here in the chat. They say, I think it's Ruckus drove and helped. I'll tell you, man, Ruckus. He was in here a few weeks ago. I remember how Ruckus kept saying there was going to be a a plea deal in the Delphi case. We're still waiting for that, buddy. We're still waiting for the plea deal. You just can't make this stuff up.
By an animal attacking Dior inside the clothing.
So everything that we have sent to the lab and had analyzed, and has not produced any.
Oh my God. Bears don't eat rednecks from Florida. Which redneck are you talking about? Because Ruckus is the furthest thing from a redneck. He's an old Southie boy.
Anything.
So if it's suspicious or you think there might be something, you send it to a lab and basically everything.
Yeah, we
sent-
definitely try to confirm. One
confirm
is
it.
like bone wise, is it animal?
I mean, let's face it. What are the chances, right, that they're there at this time of the day, and there's a sick individual there that just, while they're walking 100 yards to look for fish, right, that somebody just abducts the kid, right? Like I mean, I'm sure there's a possible, that's possible. It's also possible that Bigfoot was there. But it just doesn't pass the sniff test. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem plausible. It just, to me, that whole theory, and they've even said they ruled it out. So I don't know.
Is it human? Is it animal? And then, like he said, it was kind of inconclusive whether it was human. So they sent further for further testing, and that further testing was negative too.
The American Idol thing, I'm going to get to that at some point. We love Paula.
The clothing, same thing. You send it, you send it to a specialized facility such as the lab, ISP lab, or the FBI, and they basically analyze it, and then they try to be able to determine if it's related or not to the specific individuals involved up here as far as DNA or blood sample types, but nothing has led us further, really.
What about the theory about a wild animal? Could it have been a wild animal? And are there a lot of wild animals in this area?
There is.
You can
Yeah.
never rule that out, but realistically, I don't know. I've lived here all my life. Statistically, it's pretty rare.
Pretty rare.
Because you'd find some sort of remain.
Especially during the day, early day. And it doesn't seem like they had a lot of food with them, right?
Right.
Not necessarily.
We would hope to, but it could be carried
Yeah.
further than this search perimeter has been. And I mean, a 2-year-old being carried off.
It'd be really strange for me to believe that a bear would do that, especially, and this was done in July, right? This was July 10th. So they're probably not starving in July. But I don't know. I don't really know Idaho wildlife all that great. I know around here, spring when bear get out from hibernation and stuff. They're probably a little bit more hungry than they are in the middle of the summertime like this. So I don't know.
If you would expect to find some sort of evidence of Dior being left behind, drop a boot, clothing, material, that type of thing. But we're into the 10-year realm of it, and for things of that nature to last that long, every year the window gets smaller for evidence like that.
Has it been helpful?
I'm really good at putting people to sleep. So if you're looking to get some, like a National League baseball game, yeah. Good to see everybody here tonight. Always good to see. Evo, you suck as ruckus. Mountain lion, maybe that's possible. Yeah, absolutely. Hear my bird? That's my owl.
Hurtful to have all of these sleuths weigh in on this. I know we talked about this a few years ago, where these theories come out and the public gets hopeful that it might be something. What have you experienced with the web sleuth community?
So, well, obviously history is going to be the final determination of that, whether that was helpful or not. So far it hasn't.
That's that noise that you're hearing right there. That's this year's barred owl learning how to fly, fledgling. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I know.
Produced anything I would say has been beneficial. It tends to create a lot of debris that we need to go sort through. Once in a while, occasionally they generate a realistic.
It's good to see. I never know how to pronounce your news Addy in here. It's always good to see. Dino's leaving already. Being there with cigarette butts found, maybe a werecat. That's fucking funny. Could be an electric werecat, yeah, for sure. Yep, National League baseball game in the middle of the afternoon with the planes flying over, and that'll put you right to fucking sleep, literally. Especially a Cubs game. I just had to throw that in there.
Lead, that we'll run with this and see where it goes. Like I said, it's hard to comment on that because we don't know how this is going to end up and how exactly all that's going to play into it.
All right, so they still know nothing. I just wanted to play that because it seems like this is beginning a little bit more. I mean, this was done 6 days ago. So who knows? Maybe they're onto something. I don't know. All right, so let's get back to this douchebag here. Hold on a second. Let me get out of that one and go into this one here. Something tells me that this case isn't over yet, because the judge here now has lifted the listen to me, a comedian. A media coalition has asked the judge presiding over the Kohlberger case to vacate what they call the non-dissemination order, which is basically the gag order. Most of you know that I'm completely against gag orders, especially these days here with social media. And I mean, in theory, the gag order is there to prevent tainting of a jury, they say, right? It's all of that horrible bullshit, right? But even at that presumption that it's going to, prohibit the jury and stuff like that, they can still get a jury with even if the jury knows about the case or not. It's gag orders are a joke. They're just terrible. So anyways, in this case here, the judge basically lifted the gag order, so now people can talk about it all they want. Kohlberger's lawyers have asked the order to remain in place, citing threats to her client and an ongoing investigation into the leak of evidence. So now the defense is coming out saying that they didn't want this to be done. And something's telling me that this case is just not over yet. So here we go.
To the fire of media interviews would only increase the concerns that the defense has.
Bryan Kohberger's lawyers pushing back against the media's request to lift an order barring the state and the defense from talking about the case and releasing records about the investigation into the murders on King Road.
The media frenzy, as it has been described.
This whole gag order thing is strange. So this might impede things. Plus, I don't know if this. So the part of the plea deal was that he would not have to divulge any information, and also the appeal thing. But you're going to learn here in this snippet here that that's not 100% real. So there we go.
I will continue regardless.
I don't like this judge here at all either. So.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Since Bryan Kohberger's arrest for the murders of 4 University of Idaho students in late December of 2022, we've had so many questions for police and prosecutors about the case, and they've not been willing to answer any of them because they agreed to a non-dissemination order.
Is Dino actually leaving? If you're leaving, buddy, have a good week. Good to see you in here. Always good to have Dino in here.
A gag order, if you will, proposed by Kohberger's defense team. Now, that agreement, it barred the release of any information or public statements about the case that didn't come from court documents. But now, Kohberger has pleaded guilty. He's admitted that he broke into the house.
I literally love this woman, Anjanette Levy. This house isn't even here anymore. They keep showing pictures of it.
On King Road around 4 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, and stabbed to death 4 people that he didn't know. And from what prosecutors have said, had absolutely no relationship to whatsoever. Kohberger stood up a few weeks ago in open court and admitted to stabbing Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. All were killed within a matter of minutes. At the end of the plea hearing, Judge Hippler proposed lifting that non-dissemination order.
Any reason why I should not rescind the non-dissemination order at this time?
Your Honor, I think that given the history of this case, it would be best if that remained in place through sentencing. So we have time to make sure there's the ability to completely answer questions. That would be the state's preference and recommendation.
Would have no objection for the order to remain in place through sentencing.
All right, I will, at this point, the idea to keep it until sentencing, which time it would be withdrawn in order to give the parties the space and time to prepare to meet what I'm sure will be the deluge of media requests. That's at least my preliminary decision at this point.
So after that, the Media Coalition, which Law and Crime is a part of, filed a motion asking for a hearing and requesting that the non-dissemination order be lifted. The coalition's attorneys wrote, Mr. Kohberger's plea sharply...
Okay, so Mr. Kohberger's plea sharply changed the Sixth Amendment fair trial, First Amendment balance in his case. Mr. Kohberger will face a jury to determine his guilt. Oh, sorry. Mr. Kohberger will never face a jury to determine his guilt, nor will any jury have any role in determining whether or not the DP is the proper punishment. All that remains is for the court. It's very simple. All that remains for the court is to impose a sentence, not a jury. So it's basically up to the judge. But even though the parties have waived a pre-sentence investigation, and Mr. Koberg has agreed that he will not argue for anything less than consecutive life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Changed the Sixth Amendment fair trial / First Amendment balance in this case. Mr. Koberger will never face a jury to determine his guilt, nor will a jury have any role in determining whether the death penalty is the proper punishment. All that remains is for the court, not a jury, to impose a sentence. But even then, the parties have waived a pre-sentence investigation, and Mr. Koberger has agreed that he will not argue for anything less than consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Now, Prosecutor Bill Thompson, he has since changed his mind about the non-dissemination order, and he filed a response saying he agrees that the order is no longer needed, but he said he will not be making any public statements until after sentencing. But Koberger's lawyer, Ann Taylor, she wants that order to remain in place until sentencing.
You know, here's the thing, right? I know all of this stuff was done in court, and it's up to the judge now for discretion. But Koberger can just fire his attorney at any moment, I think. So, I don't know.
Taylor wrote, the revised order recognized that Mr. Koberger's rights extend beyond the question of guilt or innocence to his right to a fair sentencing proceeding.
So this is the thing here. The revised order recognized that Mr. Koberger's rights extend beyond the question of guilt or innocence to his right to a fair sentencing proceeding, regardless of whether the proceeding is reached via a jury verdict or a plea.
Regardless of whether the proceeding is reached via a jury verdict or a plea. So our content really shows you how important personal safety is, and that's especially true when it comes to protecting. They contact those companies for you. They alert you after the request has been completed. Get 60% off. And others in releasing information could get worse. Taylor wrote, further release would only serve to gin up the anger and violent rhetoric already at a fever pitch. Again, this court is well aware of the threats posed not only to Mr. Koberger, but to his family and to court staff. Taylor also brought up concerns over courthouse security. She wrote, court security resources were at maximum capacity on July 2nd, 2025. The sentencing hearing, scheduled for 2 days, promises to be even more taxing on those resources. Lifting the non-dissemination order now is likely to change the atmosphere near the courthouse and may well push security needs beyond capacity. And there are portions of Taylor's response.
I know one thing. One set of the parents is, I forget who it is now, but they are like 100% against this plea deal. And they've been all over the media talking about this whole thing, and I don't blame them, but there's other parents that are okay with the plea deal. So I don't know how you balance that juggling act as a prosecutor, but I do believe that the prosecution in this case caved. And it's all about money. When it comes down to it, it's all about money and what people are willing to spend. But this case would cost Indiana, Idaho, a freaking ton of money. And any way that they can get and keep that money into other resources or other people's pockets, they decided that they were gonna go this route. That's just my personal opinion. I have no evidence of that, but it looks really shitty to the parents. So it's just my opinion. They wanted this, especially that one set of parents, they wanted this to go to trial and they wanted to see this guy freaking burn, man. But not the prosecution and not the state. The state wanted this to go away.
That are redacted that appear to address the leak to Dateline and an investigation into who leaked that material about Koberger to NBC. So let's take a look at the arguments from the hearing.
Ms. Olson, was there anything you felt was important to add that was not contained within your briefing?
Your Honor, we would just briefly say in response to the defendant's brief, we certainly understand they expressed concern about the media coverage.
This is the problem. This is what the problem is, right? Like, anytime you have something like this, you're gonna have a conspiracy. You know, it breeds conspiracy, right? And I'm trying not to use the word conspiracy as like this, you know, crazy people thing. I'm just saying they should not be allowed to do this. They should not be allowed to just take a fucking plea like this and bow out, right? Have a trial, have a jury. Just, I don't care the cost, right? Because if you do that, you at least quash that a little bit. Have a jury, have a trial, let a jury figure it out, right? But when they do stuff like this here and just accept a plea deal without any, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And I just think it's wrong.
Of their client. We don't think continuing the non-dissemination order helps that at all. It simply continues to limit the ability of the members of the press to reach out to the people who know the most about the case. It doesn't obligate them to say anything. We also understand that they expressed that there was a due process right to the sentencing. I read the case that they submitted. I think that there is.
That's why they have trials. That's why they have juries. That's why they have courts to figure this shit out. And when they I knew this was going to happen. I just knew it. I knew there was going to be a plea deal in this case because, you know, this is a ton of money. I forget what they were saying. This was going to cost the state of Idaho. And, you know, it's a DP case. So it's not just going to be one trial. It's going to be, you know, even if he's found guilty, trial after trial after trial, 10 years of trial. I mean, it's a lot of freaking money, man.
Obviously a due process right at sentencing, but I don't think that case is really it doesn't provide any.
You know, a state like New York, California, Texas, Florida, all these bigger states that have the resources for these big trials and big court battles. Yeah, but Idaho, you know, there's like 5 people that live there. It's not like they have a ton of money. So this was, in my opinion, this was a cave.
Guides court here because that was about information provided to the court, and given the very limited scope, and we understand it's very important, but given the very limited scope, what's to be decided at the.
And now this guy's just going to lift the gag order before the sentencing. What the fuck? That's too funny.
Sentencing, we don't think the arguments that Mr. Koberger made should outweigh at this stage the First Amendment rights of our clients. Thank you, Your Honor.
He already did. Anyways, he lifted the gag order, so it's, you know.
Now I'm going to tell you something. The defense, they really knew they were fighting an uphill battle here, but they were asked whether they had anything to add in addition to the documents they had filed.
I would only say, Your Honor, as this court is well aware, the publicity in this case is so extensive and emotions are already so high that adding fuel to the fire of media interviews or a rush to interview people as they leave the courthouse or enter the courthouse would only increase the concerns that the defense has. And even though the plea has a specific sentence attached to it, as this court is well aware, things happen in hearings and sentencing hearings, and to minimize the possibility of that, we request that this order stay in place.
And really the entire time, Bryan Kohberger, he was attending this Zoom hearing from his jail cell. You could see him up there in the corner wearing the jail jumpsuit. And you could see him kind of making some faces, but he may be expected to lose this. Judge Hippler said that he actually had anticipated a motion from someone to vacate this non-dissemination order. So take a listen.
Frankly, the court was prepared at the time the plea was entered to lift the non-dissemination order in order to give the parties time to evaluate that and to ensure I wasn't missing anything. When both sides objected, I agreed to continue the non-dissemination.
Oh, you're missing something. I can't believe you just said that. This guy's a fucking idiot. He literally.
Order. I also indicated that I would have the potential to look at that again before sentencing, because frankly, I anticipated the motion from somebody, in this case, the Ms. Olson and her client.
I think the whole lifting of the gag order came as a surprise to fucking everybody, not just the defense, not just the prosecution, but everybody. You know, it's like, okay, now let's do this. Guy hasn't even been sentenced yet.
Was likely to be coming. At this point, I do not believe the purpose of the non-dissemination order, the primary purpose, which is to ensure that we can seat a impartial jury, is any longer at play. The concerns identified by the defendant.
He didn't even impose the gag order. It was the judge before him that did that. So I think he's been against the gag order ever since he took over this case.
Well, certainly not to minimize those. They are concerns, and they are significant concerns. I do not think, however, the non-dissemination order and the right of the public to information is outweighed or outweighs the rights, I should say. And frankly, I don't think that lifting the non-dissemination order will mean.
And frankly, you know, I mean, I can't read people's minds, but I think the judge is kind of pissed that they took this deal too. I mean, that's just I think he really wanted this trial.
Meaningfully impact those concerns. I mean, the media frenzy, as it has been described, will continue regardless. It is a little bit like water will find low ground. In this case, the media is going to write about something regardless about this case. The lifting the non-dissemination.
I just covered the I might do this 1 week here, but been following a case out of Hawaii for years, and it involved I forget the names. It was done. The trial was done back in 2000, and I actually just heard the American Justice version. It was an older version. About the suspects and the people who got convicted of the crime back in 2000. Turns out they had nothing to do with the crime. Forget their names again. There was 3 of them. But the case, they had no DNA. Linking the suspects to the unaliving. Literally, they had DNA, but none of the DNA went back to, I forget the names of these people. But turns out they got exonerated, I think in 2023, because the Innocent Project took over the case and they had the DNA testing. Come to find out, these people had nothing to do with the crime at all. It was like somebody who lived right there. So I don't trust people either. You can tell that the prosecution in that case was trying to get a conviction. They ended up getting a conviction on nothing. Literally no, just hearsay evidence, just hearsay witnesses saying they saw a T-shirt on a car. It's just so weird. I'll get the names in a second, but it's one of those, how they even get a jury to find these people guilty is beyond me. And they're suing for like $550,000 a year, and they should get it because these guys have been this guy's been in prison for over 20 years, and he had nothing to do with the crime at all.
Dissemination order does not require the counsel or others who were previously bound by it to speak. And the state has indicated that they don't intend to until after the sentencing. At this point, I just don't think that I can justify the continuation of the non-dissemination order. I think the rights of the public to information in this case is paramount, given the fact that a plea has been entered in this case. And so I'm going to lift the non-dissemination order.
So I want to bring in Jack Reiner. He is a First Amendment attorney.
All right, so hold on a second. It's right here. It was the Dana Island case. So these guys here, the brothers wrongly convicted in the Dana Island case, filed new lawsuit citing botched investigation, and it was a botched investigation. It was just they were looking for anybody. The Schweitzers, that's their name. So this is the case. If you guys want to look it up, they had DNA evidence at the time, but even the DNA evidence wasn't linking them to this crime. And they're suing for I think it's $50,000 a year that the guy was, $50,000 for every year served. And I think they actually got that. And they deserve it, So, all right. So let's go back to this here. Hold on a second. So it does happen. No, they got out in 2023, I think. And the prosecution still wanted to
based in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's fought a lot of these battles. I've fought a couple of them with him and we've won. He is with the Faruqi law firm. Jack, your response to the defense wanting to keep this gag order in place until sentencing?
Well, I think that it seemed to me to be kind of a half-hearted effort on their part. There's very little case law cited. There's very little justification for it. The best they can seem to be able to come up with is that, Mr. Kohberger will be in danger because the public will get stirred up if they get access to the prior proceedings in the case. And I'm not aware of much precedent that would support that. This case was originally.
They literally had no evidence on those guys, though. They had no nothing. They had some guy that came out and said, and then they had this crazy informant in jail, in prison, that was obviously just trying to get less time. And he made the whole fabrication of the confession up from the guy in jail. It was just so, they deserve to get sued. Do a proper investigation, get a proper conviction, and then we'll talk. But, sometimes they just don't do that.
The gag order was put in place to protect his fair trial rights and to avoid tainting the jury pool. And now that he's, pled and the judge will be doing the sentencing, the judge has presumably seen all of this stuff. So it's not like the gag order is prohibiting the judge from seeing this information. There's really no reason for it. And the idea that a person who's pled guilty to, brutal murders of 4 people might be in some sort of danger. Well, yeah, they might. But I don't mean to make light of it, but the idea that that gives him some sort of almost arguing that he has a privacy right, which I think is just absurd. He's a public figure. He's admitted to brutal crimes, and the notion that he has some sort of right to privacy that would preclude a court from releasing public information to the public, I think is just a very weak argument.
Judge Hippler, in this case, has really erred on the side of the public and the public's right to know,
Right.
which I really.
Did Charles leave?
Found very refreshing, because in this case, both sides were filing a lot of stuff under seal. And he came out at one point and he said, hey, knock it off. If redact stuff, if you think it needs to be redacted, but you need to err on the side of having things be public. And so I appreciated that. And so they started redacting things instead of just filing everything under seal.
I don't care what anybody says. The public has the right to know. And I know people don't like to believe that, but that's the way law is, man. Especially when you have a brutal killer running around, people have the right to know, right?
Yeah.
And so he was loath to keep this thing in place during the plea hearing. He suggested lifting it and he wanted to lift it and he let them, have some time. And I've seen cases, I've covered cases where a gag order remained in place until after sentence.
Like that bimbo down there in South Carolina with the Alex Murdaugh case. I mean, she was literally telling the jury, if you don't come back, because she was trying to get a book deal, trying to get the money from the book deal. She wanted the case to end quick. So she was literally threatening the jury that if you don't come back with a guilty verdict quick, you're not going to be able to smoke. Like the bitch. Like she had to get involved in the case, right? Like she had to. You never know what goes on in these trials, man. You just don't.
Sentencing. Typically, though, that happens when a trial had been had.
Right.
And who knows why people want to do that? Maybe they just don't want to deal with the press. But Judge Hippler said during the hearing where he lifted the gag order, I was inclined to lift.
I don't trust anybody, man, at all. And I know a lot of these people. I shouldn't say a lot of these people, but a lot of, what I consider to be pro-prosecution people. If this ever happened to them, man, and it can happen to anybody. You can be wrongly convicted, and if they have DNA, you're going to jail, man. You're gone. DNA isn't foolproof, bro. It just ain't.
But I've
seen a lot of cases where they even have DNA on suspects, and come to find out, I covered the case not too long ago about the guy who they found his DNA at the crime scene. There was technically three people involved, and they considered him to be the third person because his DNA was found at the scene, right? Come to find out, he was at the ER because he had a medical condition. He was at the ER, and the same paramedics that were at the ER treating him went to the crime scene to handle the crime scene. That's how his DNA got there. And if it wasn't for cameras at the hospital where this guy was being treated, they would have fried him, right? So transfer DNA isn't 100% perfect, right? But if your DNA is there, guess what? Kiss your ass goodbye.
You guys some time, and I anticipated a motion, and I thought a motion would be coming to vacate this. And he said the public has a right to know.
Sure.
So I found that really refreshing.
Yeah, well, I think when there's a trial, there is a public.
Hello, Nicole. Good to see you. Nicole's here. It's an interesting case in Hawaii is interesting. I just covered that. Was that over the winter? I think it was over the winter, last winter.
Public airing of the material. I mean, it's very very rare to keep the public out of a trial, right? So when there's a trial, the public is going to get information about the case. They're going to see evidence and exhibits and that sort of thing. So I think when there's a plea and there's not a trial, to keep the gag order in place just really increases the harm to public transparency, because there's not the public airing that would take place in a trial. And so, the public's inability to get this information while it's fresh, while it's still newsworthy, is really problematic. And I think that the idea of a defendant getting an unfair trial because there's a lot of pretrial publicity is generally overblown. And most of the time, the defense, when they move for that, have a hard time justifying it when they're pressed to present some evidence that it's going to unfairly taint the jury pool. And the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court has said that before you...
Always good to see Nicole here. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. This case is wacky. It's just wacky. That's all I can say.
Issue a gag order, you've got to do other things like a very detailed.
You just can't make this stuff up. The guy The guy wants to plead a deal now, and right before sentencing, the judge lifts the gag order. I mean, make fucking sense. It just doesn't.
Voir dire of the jurors. To find 12 jurors who have not kept up with the news, not that hard, really. I mean, we seem to think, you and I, we're on top of a case like this, but the average person in the public who's just trying to get through life and work and pay bills really isn't that.
In Idaho, there's like 10 people that live in Idaho, and most of them are college students. So yeah, it's pretty hard to find a jury that's not contaminated in Idaho. New York, California, some of the bigger states, probably, but Idaho, I don't know.
Steeped in it. So you've got that. You've got the possibility of a change of venue. You can sequester the jurors to make sure they don't receive information about the case. So, and you have to do that. I mean, the Supreme Court has said you have to go through those steps before you can prohibit or you can issue a gag order. So, in my experience, jurors you can find 12 jurors that don't know much about the case, even a highly publicized case. I really believe.
All right, so that's the end of that. I just thought that was kind of comical. Judges have their own minds, man. Like, just when you think everything's okay, All right, so Paula wanted me to cover this, so we'll cover this pretty quick. Charlotte's here. Hey, Charlotte, good to see you. This is the case with the American Idol music supervisor husband, Thomas DeLuca, unalived in Encino, California. American Idol supervisor Robin Kay and her husband, Thomas DeLuca, were found unalived in their Encino home. Police said the couple may have been unalived to death. This is 4 days ago, and I know they arrested somebody, so I'll play this first, and then we'll play the other one.
And a woman were discovered in their home. We've learned one of the victims worked on American Idol.
Fox 7's Christina Gonzalez live in Encino with the latest on this investigation. Christina.
Yeah, the police were called to the house behind us on a welfare check yesterday afternoon. They found the two bodies. They believe, and this is preliminary, that they were shot.
It's always good to see Charlotte. Good to see Charlotte in here. Hope you're doing well, Charlotte.
To death, but at this point they don't have a suspect. They don't have a motive. Here's what we do have. Take a look.
It's frightening. Very shocking news. Scary.
Scary to see law enforcement descending on the Encino home where TMZ first reported the award-winning music supervisor of American Idol, Robin Kay, and her husband, realtor Thomas DeLuca, were found murdered. LAPD responding to the White Oak Place home last night after getting a call from family.
Family hadn't heard from them in 4 days, and so they got into their backyard from my neighbor's backyard. They climbed the fence to get in, and then she heard a crash and saw their back slider door broken.
Seems neighbors called 911 about the house last week.
My renter saw somebody hopping the fence, but that was back on Thursday. She called 911, but we didn't hear anything.
Until today, LAPD homicide handling the investigation. But sheriffs also here with their canines. One officer climbing on the fence with an axe, seemingly clearing landscaping to look for evidence.
We were aware that she's an American Idol producer.
Guy Cohen is a security consultant who shows us a bid he says he made for a security system on the house not too long ago.
They had a burglary a couple months ago. They called in to see what they could do about it. We came over and gave them a consultation, went over the options, and unfortunately they weren't ready at the time.
We have a lot of burglary problems in this neighborhood.
I'm heartbroken. Super nice people, super down to earth.
As a neighbor, what's going through your heart just watching
It's very sad. I have so much pain right now. This is not right. They have this. Look at it. Look at it. It's unbelievable.
This statement from American Idol to Fox 11. We are devastated to hear of Robin and her dear husband Tom's passing. Robin has been a cornerstone of the Idol family since 2009, was truly loved and respected by all who came in contact with her. Robin will remain in our hearts forever, and we share our deepest sympathy with her family and friends during this difficult time.
All right, so that's that. And down here, you're going to see, just had it right here. Arrest made after American Idol executive. So this is
The LAPD.
arrest made after American Idol executive and her husband unalived in Encino. Officials of Los Angeles Police Department confirmed that an arrest has been made in connection with American Idol supervisor. So here's this. Well, do you want to play the press conference instead? Let's do this. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay, sorry. We'll do this one.
The LAPD has confirmed an arrest in the murder of an American Idol music supervisor and her husband in Encino.
And police announcing they do believe this was a random attack. The 22-year-old Encino suspect shot the couple multiple times inside their upscale home. KTLA's Jean Kang live in Encino.
Like I said, I think I'm probably one of the only people that think O.J. Simpson is innocent. Half asleep. Well, go to sleep, Heather.
Encino. He has the very latest details and now some reaction. Jean?
Hi there. We are learning so much more. LAPD detectives say they arrested 22-year-old Raymond Budarian at his home in Encino. Apparently, he did not know the victims. They actually looked at surveillance video from the victim's home, also gathered forensics evidence and caught up to him. Unfortunately, that music supervisor, a longtime part of the American Idol family, was shot multiple times along with her husband.
The victims identified as American Idol music supervisor Rob Kay and her husband Thomas DeLuca, both shot in the head. Police discovered blood at the front entrance and smashed a window to gain entry.
He entered an unlocked or unsecured door of the residence, and he was there for approximately half an hour. When the homeowners returned back to their residence, a violent struggle ensued between them and the suspect, who was already inside their home, which resulted in the victims tragically losing their life.
I'm shocked somebody killed somebody.
LA County Sheriff's canine units at the scene, detectives trimming back the shrub around security cameras. LAPD revealed chilling details. Police were called to a welfare check to the upscale $5 million home around 2:30 Monday afternoon. They discovered both victims with gunshot wounds, shaking this community to its core. Neighbor Hannah Masachi says she often talked to and saw the kind couple walking around the area.
They love to be in Encino. They love the people here. It's very sad.
Kay was an award-winning music producer, part of the American Idol family since 2009. Plus,
It does suck. It's terrible.
work on Universe, the NAACP Image Awards, and more high-profile shows. The security expert says he met with a couple just 2 months ago, shortly after they were victimized in a home invasion. That was the same couple that you were talking to on May 20th? Yes,
Right? Like, I don't think that's one of the most, like, when you look up dangerous professions, music director isn't probably one of them. We love having Charlotte here. I hope you're well, Charlotte. Doing almost halfway through. Oh, so you're almost halfway through chemo, and it's going well so far. You haven't lost your hair. Good. I haven't gone through any chemo, and I've lost pretty much all of my hair. So, basically, the hair I have, I just glue and paste to my head. Just kidding.
Tom, of course, we consulted with them just a couple months ago. And just to think that we could have maybe helped prevent this from happening is just heartbreaking.
Then neighbors say just last week there was an attempted break-in at the same house.
We heard some loud screaming and yelling.
Look at the dog. They use these dogs now. I think they call them. Apparently, they're much more calmer than Shepard's. Although this one doesn't look very calm.
And from there, you heard a loud boom. Didn't sound like a
You know what they
gunshot.
do with the dogs when they don't behave? I think they just shoot them. Could be wrong.
Necessarily, but it was pretty loud and scary.
My renter saw somebody hopping the fence, but that was back on Thursday. She called 911.
An American Idol spokesperson says, quote, "We are devastated to hear of Robin and her dear husband Tom's passing. Robin has been a cornerstone of the Idol family since 2009 and was truly loved and respected by all who came in contact with her. Robin will remain in our hearts forever, and we share our deepest sympathy with her family and friends during this difficult."
They couldn't even put a name here. They just said spokesperson. This is so cold, right? This is their statement, right? Go fuck yourself by the spokesperson. That's basically it's.
time.
Uh,
Such a tragic story. One resident tells us that the couple was so afraid after a break-in in their home last Thursday that they started handing out warning flyers to neighbors. Reporting here in Encino, Gene Kang, KTLA 5 News.
Gene, thanks.
that just sucks. That's terrible. That's awful. All right, so that's the end of that. They got somebody in custody for that. I'm pretty sure he'll be out in a couple of weeks. All right, so let's do this here. This is very interesting. I wanted to play this because I know I'm boring you guys with this case, but I wanted to play this because this is very interesting development. I think maybe in a Jody Huisentruit case. They're doing a documentary again on the abduction of Jody Huisentruit, and I'm pretty sure they've ruled out the guy that they've been thinking did this. I forget his name. I always forget his name. He's dead anyways. But they were gonna bring a grand jury, seat a grand jury to see if they had enough evidence against him, but apparently they didn't. And then the family sued them to get some of the information released in the case, and the judge released some of the information in the case. But now it seems as if, let me pull this up. I don't think it's going to be in here, but we've done a lot of lives on this here. So Jody Huisentruit's best friend, or one of her friends, right? Had a husband. And so John Van Cise, right? John Van Cise was supposedly the POI for the longest time, but he's dead. And I'm pretty sure he didn't have anything to do with this. But I forget the guy's name. Her best friend's husband has always kind of been very strange to me as far as maybe a possible suspect. And now here we go with this here. They mentioned him here in this. So this person's doing a Just Before Dawn, 30 years later, a new docuseries called Her Last Broadcast. The abduction of Jody Huisentruit follows a major break in the case. So this is very strange. But this guy was a suspect to me from the beginning. So we'll see what happens with this here.
Series out today about an event that many of us remember. Iowa News anchor Jody Huisentruit was abducted from her apartment parking lot just before dawn. Her case has become one of the nation's most haunting, unsolved mysteries. Now, a tip from one of Jody's close friends led Mason City Police to reveal a secret clue that they had kept hidden.
30 years later, the docuseries titled Her Last Broadcast, The Abduction of Jody Huisentruit, follows a major break in the case. Maria Oz is executive producer on the project.
This is one of those cases here that kind of got me involved in true crime here.
and joins us now to tell us a little bit more about it. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jody Huisentruit, everyone here knows this case. Everyone here is so drawn to this case. Tell me about the docuseries and kind of why you kind of went down this realm of needing to do more.
Yeah, well, like you said, I think this is probably the biggest unsolved case, missing persons case in the Midwest. And so I got to know Jody's case really well, working with the Mason City Police Department and her family on a 2020 special that we did back in 2022 for ABC News, and, you know, kind of immersed myself in that story. It's one I knew well. I'm from Minnesota. I remember when she disappeared. And so, you know, just wanted to take a deeper look at that. And after our 2020 special ran, a tip came in from one of her closest friends growing up who wondered if her ex-husband actually might have something to do with it.
Very.
So did you just hear what she said? Sorry, I was doing something behind the scenes.
Friends growing up who wondered if her ex-husband actually might have something to do with it.
Very interesting. So, I mean, you have looked through these documents.
Closest friends growing up who wondered if her ex-husband actually might.
So one of her closest friends growing up submitted a tip to, I think, law enforcement about her ex-husband. So here we go.
Have something to do with it.
Very interesting. So, I mean, you have looked through these documents. You have seen so many things. Why do you think that this continues to garner so much attention after all these years?
I mean, you have a, you know, up and coming news broadcaster taken late at night. You know, she's late for work. Her producer calls her in the morning. Are you coming in? And she's like, oh, I'll be right there. Never shows up. Right? Her belongings are found scattered in her apartment parking lot there in Mason City, and there's just no trace of her. No one saw anything. People heard screams, but nobody reported it. And it's kind of, you know, every woman's worst fear, maybe, you know. Everybody's had that experience where you're walking out to your car.
Back to that tip.
Right.
Yes.
Someone called in after the 2020 that said you should look into her ex-husband. I mean, where did you take that tip? Like when that tip came in and you heard this, I would imagine the wheels started turning for you. Is like, there's more to this we need to delve into.
Absolutely. And so she contacted Mason City Police, and we were, you know, working with them extensively on the 2020, and we decided to kind of look into this together. We were given a great opportunity with Mason City to kind of actively follow them as they chased this tip down, right? And so it's a really unique opportunity to be embedded with them to that degree, to research an active tip.
So this is the tip that we really haven't heard much, if all, about in this.
No, this is brand new. So people ask all the time, oh, well, what's really new in this case? This is a cold case that's been going on for so long. But it's not a cold case. This is a very active investigation and has been for many years. The detective in this case, Sergeant Prohaska, you know, he's been working this constantly for years. And so this tip, though, it is brand new. There are new things in this show related to that tip, related to another person of interest. The show itself covers 4 persons of interest in the case.
Well, and you interviewed dozens of people, more than 20 people, friends, families, investigators for this series.
Yes, we did. And one of the most important things to me always with our true crime projects is just that we are getting both the family involved and we're getting law enforcement involved, because I think only with those two things do you get the sort of deep dive that viewers want and that people need. And that
see here. Hope you're well, my friend. It's still brewing into a civil storm over here. Luckily, my chickens are oblivious and laying beautiful fingers. Best oh, we love you, Charlotte. You're amazing. Sorry you're going through that. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. You guys are all awesome. We love Charlotte here. Charlotte was one of my first people in the chat. She's an amazing person. She's over there in England battling with the Civil War again over there. Just stay safe and stick with 2 chickens. They're probably going to be better off that way. I might have to come over there. Just kidding. I'll sick King Henry VIII on you.
That hopefully will help solve the case at some point.
Maria, had her family, I mean, you guys are talking about this tip. This is what this whole program is so much about. Had her family heard this tip? Had they heard about all of this?
Yeah, so good question, right?
So the biggest thing about this case, I can kind of, you know, kind of then take a look at is that toilet seat, right? There was a in her. So basically, the story goes she was running late for work that morning, and she had called in, or somebody called her to tell her that she was running late. So she was running late. So, but some of the evidence that they found was the toilet seat in the apartment was up, and normally, you know, that's indication that somebody of the male was there. So, so I'm wondering if that guy that they were talking about, the ex-husband of her best friend, might have been there. I don't know.
Family, you know, has been made.
But the strange thing is that there was obviously a white van, right? Witness saw a white van there. And apparently that guy owned a white van.
Aware of all of the different things that are kind of included in this docuseries. That's really important, right? And so they've been looped in, but there's a lot of new stuff here and a lot of compelling reasons to maybe think that there's a different direction to be looking in. And so I think the other
and it would make sense that the person's coming out now as a tip because it's her ex-husband and maybe he said something to her. Who knows?
thing with this show is it kind of sets the record straight on some misinformation that's possibly been out there. You know, things like, you know, it's been reported that there was a bloody palm print found at this scene. And
Heather is number one. Heather is you all know how I feel about Heather. Heather is everybody feels that way about Heather. Heather's just amazing. Literally.
you'll see that kind of online if you look around on Google, and that's not true. That was never found. That's not something that exists. And so, you know, it's an important look at what's real and what's not real related to the investigation.
You mentioned getting kind of this unprecedented look, working with police, being embedded with them. You got to go inside her former TV station.
Yes, KIMT TV. So Jody worked there. She was a morning show anchor on Daybreak was the name of their show. And, you know, they aren't really broadcasting out of that
Actually, I remember when this story broke.
station anymore. I got the opportunity to go in there, and it is like a time capsule, really. And so her desk is still there in the same place that it was then. It's chilling. You know, you see
That's
old
what I was
boxes of
thinking.
tapes, and you know, it just shows how much news has changed, right? You're
Right.
thinking back to then, and you know, very much so. Jody was a local celebrity, right? And everybody knew her, and this really rocked.
Remember these? Remember these video cameras here? It seems so old now, right? These with the mics on them, and geez and crow. Now all you need is your cell phone, pretty much.
Mason City and made people feel very unsafe for a long time.
For a long time, and probably to this day, every time they think about it. I mean, when you really think about how that happened, and it was early in the morning, and they just in the parking lot of where she lived,
Right.
You know, and the things that where you feel like it should be safe.
Right. And just to put this in perspective for people, she just had to get to her car. She just had to get to her car. I would say from where she left her apartment building, that was right here,
Yeah.
just past you,
Well,
just right
just
past you is
outside
the
the door.
distance to where her car was. You know, it's so sad.
So it wasn't her car yet. She was in the process of buying the car. That's what I know. And it was a red Miata, I think. Mazda Miata, I think, something like that. Yeah, but it wasn't her car yet, I don't think.
There's a wooded area that was searched in your docuseries.
Yes, Winstead, Minnesota.
Yeah.
There was a wooded property that was searched that is behind this new person of interest's home.
Okay.
And so
That's some of the video that we're seeing here.
yes, that is some of the video that you're seeing there. So we worked with North Star Search and Rescue, Mason City Law Enforcement, the Winstead Police Department, the local sheriff's office to execute this search, which was a, pretty big deal.
I have a funny feeling that this case is going to break open pretty soon here. I think they're on the right track. Just my opinion.
Right. So we are out there and, viewers of the series will see kind of what happens with that search, but it is an opportunity to kind of really go along and
I remember the VCRs, video cameras and stuff like that. I mean, there was people don't realize in this generation here how much technology they have these days. But that technology back then, that was badass, right? Like video cameras. I can remember when answering machines were like the rave. Everybody got answering machines. They hooked them up to their phones and they left messages for themselves. So they hear themselves talk on the phone. It's so weird. Nowadays, that's obsolete technology, man. I don't even think people have answering machines on their phones anymore. We don't even have a landline here anyways. So,
see what it takes to try to crack this case.
I have one more question because we're out of time.
Yes.
But do you think we solved this
Go with the
case?
sex
Do you
tapes.
think this case is ever solved, that Jodi is found?
I do. I think you have to have hope. And I think it really is a matter of there's that one last piece that's going to connect the final dots to this mystery. And
that's the best thing somebody who's trying to rob your house can do is call your house and have you literally on the phone saying, sorry, we're not home right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, what a great place to go steal shit then.
I think somebody out there may have that. Somebody knows something. I do believe that's always true.
It may just take that one call.
Right.
Maria, this has been, I could sit here and talk to you for the entire hour about this.
Yes.
That's freaking awesome. I'm gonna have to keep up on this case because I think they're probably on the right track. Want to play one more thing and then we'll get the fuck out of here. This is about this other douchebag here. Hold on one second here. This came out the other day. I was gonna go live with this here, but I had to go to work. So this guy here, apparently he's pleading in his CO case. So let me read this here YouTube wise. Stephen Stearns, who was accused of S-ing and unaliving Madeline Soto, has a plea hearing scheduled for Monday. So I think this plea hearing is in regards to the S-ing. I don't know if it's a plea deal in the unaliving case, but we'll play this here. This was done July 18th. So I think Friday. Here we go.
Stephen Stearns, the man accused of sexually abusing and murdering a Florida teen, Madeline Soto, has a new hearing as we're on the heels of a trial starting next week in Kissimmee, Florida. He now has a plea hearing that has been added to the books. This has just happened within the last hour or so. That hearing is in regards to the sex crimes case, not the murder case. So to break it all down for us, we have joining us WFTV reporter.
Yeah, remember the fax machines? They never worked right at all, ever. It's so funny. Yeah. It's funny.
Reporter Giovanni Diaz here from Orlando with us to share the latest. Giovanni, thanks so much for hopping on with us. Tell us what you know about this latest filing.
Hey there, thanks for having me. Yeah, we actually are still working to get more details about this plea deal that was, it's now officially been scheduled for Monday. That is one day before his trial was supposed to start here. As we know, Stephen Stearns faces 60 charges related to sex crime. Those charges are related to files that were found in his phone the day after Madeline Soto, that 13-year-old girl, was she disappeared. And then those files were very graphic images that depicted Madeline Soto and in sexual environments involving this man, according to all the details that we obtained from the police department responsible for arresting him at the time. Now, we understand that this plea deal will also include the murder trial that was expected to start in September. He is facing first-degree charges for the death of Madeline Soto. This happened just days after Madeline Soto's body was found here in this area. We are actually on the way back to where her body was recovered, because we are still working to get more details about this case and still trying to talk with the community here. I spoke earlier today with an attorney, with a criminal attorney, defense attorney, who was explaining to me that basically what this means is the defense team for Saffron Stearns was able to actually get him off death row. So he will be able to actually, this is according to our sources here at Channel 9 WFTV, he was able to actually get off the death row, and he is going to end up spending the rest of his life in prison. Again, this hearing is set to start at 1:30 on Monday, one day before his
I will say one thing about this guy here. I mean, I'd like to say a lot of things about this guy here. He's just a piece of shit, literally. But he wasn't fooling the investigators from day one. I don't think they believed anything he was saying. And I think they had pretty much all the evidence they needed from day one. That's just my opinion.
Actual trial was supposed to start for the sex crimes, and months before his first-degree murder trial was supposed to begin. I was in the courtroom multiple times during this case, and there were several motions that were filed by his defense team. They were trying to...
This guy here needs a baseball bat to the face, literally, repeatedly.
To pull some of the files that were found in his phone. They tried to suppress those files as evidence. They wanted to remove that from the case. They wanted to get the press outside. They didn't want to have any journalists in the courtroom. All of those motions.
And I'm just wondering now if they're gonna, they might. I think it's possible that they might try to bring, if they reach a plea deal in this, in the unaliving part of this, down the road here, I wonder if they're going to bring charges, since they don't need testimony from the mother anymore. I wonder if they're going to bring charges against her.
Were tried, but the judge ahead of this case ended up dismissing those motions.
Yeah, Giovanna, there were so many things where we expected that we were going to have this trial next week. We have been gearing up here at Court TV. I appreciate you jumping on with us in the middle of your reporting on this breaking news, because this is huge. And I want to clarify for our viewers and for those of us who are still getting this information in, this plea hearing is not just, am I understanding you correctly, not just for the sex crimes case, but it is also going to involve the other trial. These are two separate cases, the murder of Madeline Soto case and also the sex crimes and child pornography that is related to what was found on Stephen Stearns' phone. You're saying that you're hearing that this plea is going to involve both of those cases.
That's correct. And that was the whole point, because they wanted to avoid a very aggressive trial, because again, I was in the courtroom. It's in the initial of this question here for the sex trial, for the sex crimes involving Stephen Stearns, and I heard from the judge explaining that they knew that it would be even difficult to find folks to be in the jury, because it was a case that
Honestly, I have zero respect for any human life that in any way harms children, takes advantage of children, obviously unalive children, but I have absolutely no remorse for those people. I'd like they deserve the worst possible punishment that could ever be dished out in humanity, as far as I'm concerned. They have no. This guy here is just a horrible human being.
That really shattered this community here in Central Florida. So a lot of people had already opinions about this case, and they knew that would be a very challenging trial to proceed with. So they wanted, and that is my understanding from our sources here, is that the defense team wanted to avoid a trial altogether because it would be very hard to not get the maximal penalty for him. And
This poor kid, she had no chance, none, zero. She was groomed from a very, young age, taken advantage of. At some point, she probably thought it was normal. She's a kid, you just, and then to have this piece of little dog shit, just awful, just terrible. These cases get to me right here, man.
Case and maximal sentence for him, I should say, in this case, because again, this was a case that left this community here really concerned and on edge. I spoke with the mother of Madeline Soto actually as this case happened back last year. I spoke with her on the phone because at that time we were
my beard.
treating this case as a missing persons case, right? So I actually spoke with her on the phone, and she was very in shock about everything that was happening, and that this case so quickly evolved in a way that everyone across Central Florida, lots of people in this community here, they know about this case. They have opinions about this case because it was just very shocking. And at each development, at each phase of this story was very concerning for all of us here in this area.
Yeah, this would have been tough to find a jury that would not.
Wouldn't that have been funny if the guy would have just pulled the seat out from under him? That would have been fucking hilarious.
Have a prejudice against this man. But Giovanni Diaz, thank you so much. WFTV Orlando, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here too, Charlotte. Thank you so much for coming in. I hope you stay safe. It's always good to have Charlotte in here. Charlotte's an amazing person. Just take care of yourself, Charlotte. All right, so that's it, right? That's the end of that. So it's what time is it? I've been here 3.5 hours, so I got to get out of here. All right, so I'm gonna get out of here. I hope everybody has a good week. I want to thank Charlotte for coming in. Charlotte, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Always appreciate your support here on the channel. I hope you're well. Tracy, thank you so much for all your knowledge, just being here. Shibby, you're awesome. Take care of Canada for us, because if you don't, who will? I don't know. Heather, we love you, Heather. I need to find out when the benefit is. I hope it goes well, and I'll probably be there. But you're an amazing person. Just keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. Zaddy, thanks very much for coming in. Appreciate you being here. Always appreciate your support. You're awesome. Always good to have people here. I feel like I have, possibly the best chat in the world. You guys are all amazing. Who else was in here? I know that Honeybee was in here, and I don't want to forget Honeybee because she's amazing. She's got an amazing channel. She's awesome, period. I mean, there's just no way. Nicole Watt, thank you so much for coming in. I hope you, Heather, I hope you get some sleep too. Nicole Watt's awesome too. Thank you so much for your support. I honestly couldn't do this without you guys. You guys are great. Who else was in here? I know that Fiend was in here. Thanks very much for coming in. Appreciate the support. Jocelyn was in here. Jocelyn's amazing. She's got a great channel, Butterfly Kisses. Paula was in here. Paula's amazing. She just reached 1,000 subscribers. She's probably over that now, so awesome for her. Paula keeps me on my toes for sure. And again, I want to just let people know that 2 weeks I'm going to start my other channel up again, Danger Dave channel. I got to try to rename that because I do want to start getting back into the sports side of things, because I also have the sports channel too. So I'll be going over the games on Sunday in the afternoon when I get up. But I'll let everybody know about that stuff. Who else was in here? Tracy. Tracy's amazing. Tracy's awesome. Dirty Diana was in here. Dirty Diana's awesome. Her channel is amazing. She does great work. Her and Charles, both amazing people. We don't always have to get along, agree on everything. But that doesn't, I mean, I have no problem with opinions. I'll never have a problem with opinions. That's what makes the world go around, literally. Who else was in here? I know I'm probably going to forget some people. I want to thank everybody who watches on the replay. Miss Barbara's in here. Shout out to Miss Barb, because I know she's going through a lot. Monday will be a hell day for her, but I'll try to do something. I'll try to at least record something about Timothy Dees. Her son there. Let me see. I know I'm going to forget some people. I was saying about the replay. I know there's a lot of people who watch me on the replay, so I appreciate that 100%. You guys mean the world to me, because if it wasn't for that, nobody would watch this shit. It's just literally. So, okay. I know I'm going to miss some people. Trying to scroll up to see who I'm going to miss. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. If I miss somebody, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I can't scroll all the way up once I get down to the bottom here. Beasley, thank you for coming in. Beasley was in here. All right, so I'm going to play my outro and get out of here. Yes, I was. I did the American Idol, and then the guy that was found on Mount Washington. So if there's anything else you want me to do, I do want to try to get into J-Lo's case at some point, the Barbara Cotton case. That's really been bothering me, because I've been meaning to do that. I just haven't had a ton of time to do that. But I do want to do that, and hopefully I can get into that at some point here. Let me get out of this. I'll play my outro and I'll get out of here. You guys have a good week. Whatever you do, don't die. And we'll see you guys next week at some point. If there's any breaking news, I'll break into it. But I'll see you guys all later. Have a great week.